Hello, everyone. Welcome in. We are once again here to present our podcast, You Don't Look Disabled. And how we mentioned the last time, that's kind of an ironic title for several reasons. First, because you can see us, and second, because a lot of times neurodivergency is seen as an invisible disability. And speaking of ironies, last time we had an episode about masking, and little did we know that the title itself would be extremely ironic because our biggest criticism was that one people here was masking too little because they were being rude, and the other one was masking too much. And apparently, masking too much as an autistic person is extremely wrong, guys. You heard it here first. No, it is not. Please don't quote me on that because I never said that. That was not me. But hey, here we are to talk about other topics, and hopefully the title will not become lost under like 10 layers of irony or something. Yay! It will. Oh shit, that is the shit, and I am here for all those layers of irony. Humble, do you want to present today's episode? Hold on. Okay, now people can hear you. I am stupid.
I was muted the whole time. Oh my goodness. Okay, so hello everyone.
Sorry, I am a very good streamer, guys.
Okay.
By the way, follow
No,
me on my other channel. I am a very good streamer.
that was a nice segue. Like the irony.
I'm gonna shout myself out while we do the
Yeah,
introductions.
shout out to Philotro, the amazing and messy streamer. Yeah, I'm not a streamer. I'm just here to
You're a
support
streamer.
and being a cheerleader through their endeavors in the violin music. So yeah, that's my job right now.
Thanks for
So yeah.
shouting me out, Zick, because I realize that I am not a mod. I am gonna make myself a mod. Go on, Rumble.
Okay. Okay. So today's episode is about gender identity and sexuality, namely our gender identity and sexuality as disabled people. First, we should define some stuff. Like, we should have two things in mind. One is that gender and sex are different concepts. Sex is a complex biological concept, and gender is sociological, cultural, and psychological concept. And the other one is that gender is not strictly binary, and I don't need to cite any shit because we are not the clear evidence of that. So, gender identity refers to our personal sense of identity in regards to gender. And water is water. I know. Okay. So what this shit actually means? It means how we perceive ourselves in terms of gender, whether inside or outside of the gender binary. A rule of thumb would be, in order to simplify this very abstract concept, is if you don't perceive yourself with the gender assigned at birth. No, a little note on this. This is literally gender essentialism, which means that this is literally a sex binarism. It is only, you can only be identified as male or female at birth because physicians don't know that there's more than two sexes. But anyways,
They don't know that it's a
intersexuality
full on
exists.
spectrum. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you don't perceive yourself like that, you are transgender. Transgender. You are a cool beep basically. Uh, if you perceive your gender in a different way from your assigned gender at birth. If you perceive yourself with the assigned gender at birth, you are then cisgender, therefore boring.
No. Cisgender people are not boring, please.
It's a joke. It's a half joke. It's a half joke.
It's not a joke. It's a joke. Sorry. Hell yeah, I love being a signed copy. Hello, Tyler. Welcome in. Sorry, I had someone
Okay.
new in chat, and I need. Thank you for the
Entire!
follow.
Entire!
Hello.
Okay, you're gonna reign that chat. I'm very pleased to meet you. Sexuality is also very related to gender in the sense that it challenges the concept of gender. For example, in the context of intimate relationships, we will elaborate on this later for reasons. It's also important to note the intersectionality of disability in terms of gender identity. Because, disabled people, namely neurodivergent people, are prone to be gender non-conforming, which begs the following question. why why do we tend to have a gender non-conforming uh, identity? This was a hard read, by the way. Oh my goodness, it's a very extra thing to explain through the stuff that I basically copy pasted from the internet in this very single segment.
They did
So I guess
not. They did not. They actually
so
did
I guess
some
it's
research.
time.
They spent the whole afternoon doing research, and I couldn't do any more with it, guys. I swear they did some research.
I mean,
That
it's
had to be
technically
said.
uh, it was books from the internet, so I literally copy pasted from the internet.
Oh
I
yes,
still I'm still
there's a
very much
difference between
okay. I'm
Wikipedia
still
and goddamn books with scientific credit. Shout out to
most of the stuff
one or
that
20.
most of the stuff.
Sorry, Six just said shout out to one or two NT or neurotypical trans people. So, so I just kind of cracked because it's like,
I'm
you could
so
argue that being trans is a type of neurodivergency because there are literal differences in the brain. But let's not even go that way. Let's not even go that way.
yeah, but I'm basically finished with that segment. So I guess we should just start to rant about it. You can start or I can start basically.
Yeah, I can start. Let me just give a shout out to Tyler here as well, because now I have mod powers. See, I'm so powerful.
That's
I have mod
what
powers.
now the podcast is just going to be shout outs, not even. Uh,
Man, deixa estar. Anyway, I can start. Um, so I guess a little reintroduction of myself. So, hello, I'm Toad. Uh, I am non-binary, so and my pronouns are therefore they them, or in my particular case, they are they them. I am pansexual. I identify as being in the asexual spectrum, although I didn't put myself into one of the little boxes because I'm still trying to figure out that goddamn deal that is going on. I am a platonic, meaning that I do not
there.
feel platonic attraction, and I am polyamorous, which is the big come out of today. And I am scared as shit to say that. But hey, hello. And yeah,
Oh,
um, I guess that all these things are mostly connected to to the to the fact or all this identity deal is mostly connected with two of my neurodivergencies, those being alexithymia and autism. Alexithymia, for those of you that do not know, is a neurodivergency that makes it so that you have a hard time identifying uh, your own emotions and in even expressing, giving names to it. I don't think I need to define autism. Please don't make me do that because I will absolutely refuse to do that. Um, Humble, how do you want to do
you
this? Do
have
you want to
better things
do
to do.
a yes? I have better things to do. Do you want to do a small introduction of yourself and then I keep my rant, or do you want me to just rant? Because if I keep ranting, I'll just spend half an hour here. Maybe you want to introduce yourself a little bit.
Okay, okay. So if you didn't know, I am a boring piece of shit. Just
Oh
kidding, just kidding, just kidding.
Jesus!
I'm Rumble. It was a little slow. Okay. So I am Rebel. I am also. I'm a ally to this podcast. They are the non-binary people. I am the cis man of this podcast that they are using um,
I only hear
the
lies.
mic to speak about their trans issues. I don't have anything to do with trans issues. I don't understand trans issues.
So many
I'm just here
lies.
to
So many lies.
so many
Get real, Humbo.
Um. Okay, I'm going. Okay, this was a slash joke segment. Okay, so I'm Rumble, and I. My goodness, you are dying on this episode. Oh my goodness.
Toad is alive, Toad is back. Everything's fine. Go, Humbo.
Okay. So I'm non-binary as well because things, I guess. I go. I cannot get this straight. It's impossible for me
You're
to
too
get this
gay.
straight. Oh yeah, for sure. Now you ruined my come out moment. You ruined. You absolutely
Just come
ruined.
out, dude.
Okay, I will come out slowly and gently. So I am basically a big gay piece of shit that also happens to
Jesus.
be asexual. That also, I said gently, that also happens to be asexual, and and also I go by they he pronouns. There are peeps that happen to go with they them or they she whatever a mix of pronouns. I go with this particular mix of pronouns because I like it. So um what else I could say? I am a mess, and I also happen to being also polyamorous. I guess this was a
I
very
guess.
recent resolution.
I guess.
Realization.
I guess.
I guess I don't know. This is
Uh-huh.
a very recent
Yes,
realization. I'm
you are as monogamic as you said that you are single last time we touched that topic during my stream in which you were trying to claim that you were single.
I know I'm single for Christ's sake. I'm a very single. I'm a happy single monosexual person. You know,
Yeah, monogamic, but yes.
monosexual.
As well, all the monos. Monogendered. My god, you're making me
I'm
lose it
monogender as
with how
well.
many lies you say. Ah,
This
beautiful.
podcast is going to just me ranting about lying and
Beautiful.
toad laughing, basically, which is a very good goal, actually.
Zix just said, ah, yes, being single with three partners in the polyamorous life. Listen, three is my limit. If I go further than that, I will not have time for any of my partners. Therefore, nope.
Oh my goodness, Zeke, you just call me out. I'm
Yes.
gonna kill you.
No, you're not.
This
Don't say we do not.
no,
We do not approve of any kind of violence, and this was meant as a joke. We
it was a metaphorical one. It was a metaphorical one, but
yes.
it was with my fist one. When I say I will slay you, I will slay you, I will slay you. Okay,
Damn.
I don't.
um, I think we should also explain a little bit of those labels because I'm realizing that I use a lot of them for myself, and I didn't explain what they mean. So can I do that? Uh,
Whatever. Yes,
thank you.
feel free. Feel free.
Okay, so like I said, I'm non-binary. That means that I do not identify as being either male or female. I also identified as being pansexual, which means that I feel attraction towards other people regardless of their gender. So I'm not saying in my personal case that gender does not matter at all in the way I feel attracted towards other people, but I'm saying that it's not the main thing, and that it's not, I can like people from any gender, and what ends up mattering the most are other traits about the person, about the way the person express, about the personality, and other traits rather than gender. I identified as being on the asexual spectrum, meaning that I experience less sexual attraction than most people would. I don't identify as fully asexual. I am not touch repulsed, which some asexual people might be or not. Being asexual does not mean that you do not enjoy the act or a physical contact, but it might mean for some people, not my case. Um, I also identified as aplatonic, meaning that in the same way that some people don't feel sexual attraction or don't feel romantic attraction, I do not feel attraction towards being friends with someone. I cannot look at someone and think, I want to be friends with this person. It's just something that I do not feel. Instead, I have a mixture of feeling like I want to take care of someone, like having a care, um, uh, like a role that would be more like of that of a parent or a teacher or a mentor. I have that kind of feelings towards people, and also some levels of romantic attraction that vary from not a lot, but it's still romantic. Just, we wouldn't be enough to have a romantic relationship, and basically any kind of mixture of these kinds of attractions might make it possible that I end up being friends with someone. I do have friends. I enjoy friendships in my life. I do not try to engage in relationships with everyone I know just because I am a platonic. But yeah, I just don't perceive. I am unable to feel that. It's a thing that I don't know how it feels like, wanting to be friends with someone on the spot just for the friendship. I don't know how that feels like. Um, and being polyamorous means that I can have a romantic and or sexual relationship with multiple partners. Um, doesn't mean that I have to be having several relationships at the same time. It means that I am able to, if I want to at some point, have more than one partner because that's what feels right to me and makes sense to me. These are my my roles, or the labels that I gave myself in the beginning, explained in more depth, and I spoke a lot. Humble, your turn.
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, no, go
Because
ahead.
that was the main complaint from last time. Okay, just kidding. Um, I don't know. First of all, I am cutting that much because I'm afraid I am.
No, you're good. Go.
Okay, okay, fine. Um, okay, so I am non-binary for the reason that I just perceive, I guess, gender in a different way. I think it's very interesting to think that it's also an act of defiance to the gender roles that society put on me. Um, um, given the fact that I was assigned a different gender above, I will not say which. I will.
Did the doctors think that I was a girl
I
or
will
a
not say
guy?
which.
I will not say. My mouth is
No,
sealed. I
because
like
it's very
that.
interesting. Here's the interesting thing. Even the sex might be inaccurate because I might be even intersex,
You
given
are.
my condition that I have, which is
You are
yes, I
already. If
am.
if you
I might.
have if you have a different a significant different hormone configuration than the one that would be assigned to you at birth, you are by definition intersex already. So you are intersex.
Yeah, I am. So even the gender that was, as I said in the beginning, that was very is still very much confused with sex. It's even inaccurate as well, because I'm intersex because I have a polycystic ovaries syndrome, which means that I have a higher level of androgynous on my body, which is not supposed to.
Male hormones,
It
basically.
can. I'm not going to. Yeah, I would not say male hormones because yeah, tough topic.
I guess I was just
Basically,
trying to
yeah, I
put
have.
it easy for people that, hard words. I guess that becomes a little bit easier to at least categorize.
Yeah, I get you. I'm saying androgynous and people were just like, what the fuck is saying? Which makes all sense. It's just basically my living. It's like people don't understand what I'm saying. Just kidding. Um, so I even might be intersex. The other thing, okay, the other labels. Uh, well, there's a long story why I always have gender issues. I will not get into that right now, but I'm just going to give you a very concise explanation of all my labels. The other ones, which are the other ones? I don't remember them.
I mean, I think you
Just
identify
kidding.
as gay. You identify as gay, right?
I thought I was bisexual.
I mean, by textbook definition, yes, but if you want to use
it
gay
would,
as in
yeah,
queer, there's
it
nothing
will
wrong with
be it will be
that.
very yeah. Because socially, I might be seen as bisexual because I have in relationships. I would say, even though it's in a very different level of intimacy, not intimacy, not, sentiments from me, I would be seen as bisexual. But I
Mhm.
am a gay person because well, it's basically the because every time that I try to explain my level, I would sound transphobic because I guess I'm attracted to some level of femininity, I guess. Some femme essence, but then again, it's also kind of like it, imagine it's kind of dysphoric to say that, because even though I recognize that the person is not doesn't identify in a with the female gender role. I'm sounding too much patriarchal right now. Identifies as a cis woman or a trans woman or something. Um, if that happens to identify in a non-binary gender or as a man, um, I mean, yeah, I still recognize that, even though I can sense that some level of feminism that the program might be attracted. But how to explain this in cis heteronormative terms? There's no way. That's why labels can be very, very, really, really restrictive sometimes in terms of gender and sexuality.
And that's why we keep on
That's why I
coming
use.
up with new ones, and then people complain that Tumblr is a mess. Sorry, I had to say that.
Yeah, but yeah, I get the gallop, and I'm also a very like critic of that. Not because not
Oh,
as
I
in
have so much to
against.
say about
It's just
that
I don't
in
think
a
the
little
names.
bit.
Okay, but it's just kind of no, the names are not catchy. I would say because and also gay has also a very strong historical context that I'm very proud of.
Mhm,
You know
mhm,
the Stonewall riots and that sort of thing. Even though the trans women that started that shit, they
mhm,
started a party. I would say, but also gay men and gay people basically were in the basically in the front of the
mhm,
AIDS
mhm,
crisis and the AIDS pandemic. And also, I'm very proud to be
mhm,
kind of associated with that history.
mhm, mhm,
I'm also asexual, which also explains the shenanigans that I'm able to pull to people. Because I'm asexual, I might be more free sexually than if I was restrained only to my gay level. Because I can be sexually intimated with platonically and romantically, and
mhm.
but I don't get sexual attraction, like little or just none. And that's very interesting because people just because there's this construct of like, oh, but sex it should be, you should feel sexual attraction or else you are a pathology, you have a pathology or something, which interesting. It's not like I'm already pathologized all my life. Yeah, I just yeah.
Just a little
And
bit
also
more.
the story of yeah, just a little bit. The story of being asexual is even more interesting than being gay, to be honest, in my perception. And also, the poly label. This is a very recent thing, I would say. It's very colorful. It's spicy. I like it. Period. End of story.
I want to
Just
read
kidding.
just
Okay.
one message, Rambo. It says, name, Rambo. Gender, poet. Sexual orientation, respect. There.
Who
That's the
said that?
message. Zik, of course.
Who said? Oh. Okay, I will not slay you. Unless you mean slay any other, like slay, like you slay, Zik, you slay.
You may go on,
I'm
Rambo.
appropriating, yeah, I'm appropriating drag queen, black drag queen lingo right here.
Ah, if that isn't the
Um,
Gen Z culture.
okay.
Zik says slay me.
Uh, okay. Um, where was I? Okay. Uh, So yeah, I don't know what to say about poly. I guess you have more to say about poly. I don't have no idea what it is to be polyamorous. I have no idea. Like, I just
I am a bad
love
influence, is all I
and
gotta
I have
say.
I have crushes on several people at the same time. You mean it can be romantic, it can be platonically, and also in on opposite of those, I'm not aplatonic. I can have very platonic feelings, and I can. And sometimes it's very hard to distinguish between the platonic crush and a romantic crush, and that's why it was kind of
I'm so
hard
envious.
to.
Can someone please tell me how it feels to feel
Uh,
platonic attraction? Jesus, I wish I knew.
It's kind of okay. If I can explain to you more concisely, it's kind of like you feel pulled to the person, but you just find the person interesting.
But that's what I
But
feel when I feel romantic attraction. I feel like a person is interesting, and I
yeah,
feel
but
like I don't know. It's just like there's some kind of admiration in a way, but it's like it's way too the way it feels. It's not like it's just friendship. It never feels that way towards anyone I know in my life, and it gets so confusing. So like I have no
No,
idea
I
how that
can
would
distinguish because
feel if there was no romantic interest whatsoever in any level. And once again, it doesn't mean that I do not have friends. It does not mean that I don't appreciate my friends just for being friends, because I very much do. But oh my god, why?
it's kind of like you have to. Goodness, it's a mild version of that, basically. You know, at least for me, I don't feel like it's kind of like the early stage of a crush, of a potential romantic crush, but also it cannot be if I can
Oh,
have a
oh, you have
platonic
a
crush on someone,
transition
but not
period in which
develop
it
into
like
romantic.
before it kicks in. Is that a thing that happens? No, it just bonks me in the head.
Yeah, that's why it was so confusing. Um, I don't know if I can say this. It was so confusing to actually know if I had a crush on someone
Hmm.
because I was platonic, but then I also kind of feel like a little uncomfortable when I was a little close to the person because I might start to feel things. It was weird, to be honest. It's
Yeah,
kind of like I was
I never go
transitioning.
through that. I never go through that. It's just like I have a crush on this person, don't
It's
I?
kind
Oh
of like
fuck,
because
I care for this person. I
yeah,
already
because
like
I
this
don't
person. Fuck.
no, it has a transition point. That's why it's so confusing sometimes. It was really confusing to actually know if the person was a crush. This was on early for January. It was very confusing because uh
I can attest that it was
that's
confusing.
why I wrote that very ambiguous poem. It was kind of like
Ah, beautiful
I like you,
poems
but it's
from
kind
my
of like
poet.
all right, uh, from your what? From your what?
Poet? I just called you poet.
Don't call me. I want this to be secretive, and then you just call me out. No,
You are
let me be
literally
secretive.
the poet of this channel. What are you talking about?
Yeah, okay. So I wrote that poem that was really ambiguous because I was really confused. Do I like this person romantically or I just just like but like I don't know. I was like and I just shed the person like I roast the person because I was refusing to acknowledge the fact it was very romantic. Period. That's my way. That's what being platonic and romantic feels at the same time. It's confusing, it's shitty, and it's bah.
Yes, we are the confused peeps, Zick. Not we are more. I mean, I guess that being disabled and confused in some levels, there's a huge overlap.
Yeah, especially me.
I mean, look at me. I feel like people meet me and think that I have everything figured out because I'm always so sure and I look confident. And I am confident in a lot of things that I do and all of that. And I'm usually the person to give advice to everyone. Yeah, I'm seen as a lot of times the parent of the group and all of that. But then I'm just such a mess. So like I don't have anything figured out, guys. Like or rather I do some things and I do the best I can. And I'm good at giving advice, but that doesn't mean that I can follow my own advice. you know,
Yeah, but you're a
kind of.
beautiful mess. You're a beautiful mess.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
you are too. Um Let me now
No.
connect that. Shush. Shush, 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 shush. Let me now go back to how this all links to disability and neurodivergency. I am going to talk about my own experience, and this is definitely not a universal experience at all. Every individual is a different individual, and everyone will have a different experience, regardless of being disabled or not. It just so happens that my experiences relate deeply with my disabilities. Um, so, uh, I guess that on a first level, the fact that I am neurodivergent made it so that first I would be almost quote unquote destined to not fit in the norm in what comes to my identity, but also made it harder for me to realize that I wasn't. Uh, Mostly due to alexithymia. Like I mentioned, it makes it hard for me to understand my own feelings, and a lot of times it makes it impossible for me to know that I feel something in the first place. So I might feel something and just not even realize that I'm feeling it at all. And sometimes when I do feel that, or I do realize that I'm feeling something, I cannot identify what it is, and I take a very long time. A very good example of this is me just very, very, very recently coming out as a Platonic, as I was scrolling on Tumblr at 1 a.m. and I read the term for the first time. And because I had a label, because suddenly I saw
Move.
a word, it made sense. I saw the word. I was curious, what does this mean? I read the description and I was like, oh shit, I identify with this. This makes a lot of sense. I feel this very often. And I didn't know that other people felt like this. I didn't even know that I myself felt like this. And I guess that is the main point, which is, if I don't have a word, if I don't have a concept, I have a hard time realizing that I feel something regardless of if I feel it or not. Or I guess I have a harder time than most people do, because I assume that people would have a problem with this, or everyone would have a problem with this to some degree. Um, I am unsure, because once again, I don't know how the normative experience of this is. I don't know how it is not to be disabled. So there's that. About alexithymia, that's pretty much it. But then there's also the layer of being autistic as well. The first layer is very easy. Growing up, I had a lot of strict thinking, and a lot of of fear of change, and it was very hard for me to change my relationships, my routines, and all of that. And because of that, I would always stick to this one thing that was familiar the most, because it was very scary to do anything that wasn't that very familiar thing. And growing up, having to mask hard, which links to the theme of the previous episode, but I am a person that masks a lot, that tries or that kind of was forced. It's not that I was actively trying or rationally doing that, but I was always trying very hard to fit in and to just be normal. So I ended up absorbing a lot of what society have had to tell me, and it wasn't always very nice. I internalized a lot of homophobia and transphobia, like hardcore, and also racism, and it took a lot of years to deconstruct it, and I am not ashamed to say that I haven't deconstructed everything yet, and sometimes I am, to a little degree, but it's there because of my upbringing. I have some kind of racist or even homophobic or transphobic thoughts, even if I don't intend to, even if that's not what I actually believe. I do not believe in that. That's wrong, but that's the way I grew up. Um, that being the way I grew up, it messed me up so much that it took me so long to come out in a lot of ways. I was actually commenting this in the morning, but I remember having crushes on girls all the way through middle school. I had this one girl, she was bisexual, and like I was okay with it, but mostly because she would say she would like comment on the girls that she kissed, and some like in such a lighthearted tone that it felt always like she wasn't taking it seriously, but obviously she was. It was just the way I was perceiving it, because once again I was extremely homophobic. um
Mm.
and we sat together in some classes, and she just lay her hands in my legs and worse, and I just stayed there like, this is completely normal, and I am definitely not gay, and I'm totally not into this shit because I am too cool to be gay. um
Well, they were.
I was very, that is the first layer of it. The second um, thing that this whole masking did was in this internalized homophobia in context, because put it this way, I was desperately trying to absorb anything that would make me behave like other people. If other people behaved in a homophobic way, I would do the same, because that was how I was supposed to be acting. um so I would spend long periods of time going like, oh, I do not like girls because I clearly like guys like a lot. And I did. I had huge crushes on a lot of boys, and like I knew that I genuinely liked them, and bisexuality wasn't even a thing in my head. Like that's just not possible. That was not a possibility. I had to like one or the other. Therefore, I like the boys, so I am not into girls. And then there was the layer of me being trans, not identifying with my assigned gender at birth, which is obviously female. But I never identified with that. like ever. I was always with the guys. I was always trying to be one of the bros, and a lot of times I was included in guys groups, especially when I was older. um I had a hard time actually making friends with girls. I had a hard time understanding them, and I had a hard time just relating and socializing with them. It was extremely hard for me, so I would just always stick with the guys for most of it. That's how it felt to me personally. But because I liked guys, and if I was a guy I would be gay, therefore that meant that I couldn't be a guy and that it was right that I was a girl. Therefore, I had to identify as a girl. So I want you to understand the layers of wrong that this has. This is incredibly wrong. So I was so extremely homophobic and transphobic that I wasn't coming out as trans because if so, I liked boys and that was wrong. Therefore, I had to be a girl. That made it so that I only came out as non binary when I was 23. I am 26 now. So it wasn't that long ago that I was finally able to sit with myself and go like, no, you are not just a different kind of girl. There's nothing special about you. You're not like the epitome of femininity. You're just not that. It took a long, long, long time to deconstruct that.
You
However,
thought that you were tomboyish.
yeah, it's like, I mean, I was just, yeah, it's like, oh, it's like she likes girl things, so that's fine. It's a boy thing, sorry, so that's fine. And no, I just really always felt uncomfortable with my own body. And alexithymia comes again in this because, for example, I wasn't perceiving that I was very uncomfortable with my own body because other people perceived my body as extremely attractive to a fault. I received a lot of inconvenient messages in account of that. I guess that made me feel pretty, but guys, if you are a cis
Male
man,
gaze.
if you are a cis man listening to this, please don't message anyone that you perceive as a girl about their boobs. Just don't do that, okay? Please listen to me, okay? Listen to me. It's not
This is.
cool.
Yep.
Don't do that. You might think that you are very cool, but please don't do that, okay? It's just that's
Don't
my
do the male
only request.
gaze.
It's like if you don't take anything out of this episode and you're still here for some reason, you are listening to this either live or the VOD or on YouTube or whenever I put it there, just take this one thing. Don't do that. Okay? Anyway, I was always perceiving this as it gave me kind of self-esteem, kinda. So I was like, I mean, if people perceive this as attractive, therefore it's right. Therefore, I feel good about this. No, wrong. It gives me extreme dysphoria. Please, I don't want to have a chest. Like, just I hate it. I hate it. It it makes me feel wrong, even if like I know on an objective level of whatever perception of other people, it looks cool, I guess. I no, it feels extremely wrong, and I guess this ties a little bit with another layer of autism that was actually the one thing that made me realize a bunch of this stuff and just rationalize things, which comes with the logical thinking and the amount of rationalization that I have to do as an autistic person and even as an alexithymic person, because since I cannot perceive these things, they don't come naturally to me. These social dynamics and whatever deals, it never comes easy to me. I always have to over rationalize things. And I guess that I questioned these things so much during my upbringing because they were very contradicting. I had a lot of cognitive dissonance. I knew that I kind of had a crush on my bestie that was a girl during some point, and at the same time I was telling myself, no, you don't like girls. So I had a lot of things to think about, and once I did and stopped and actually thought about it, I started realizing that a lot of things just don't make sense in the way that people want you to perceive things. The way that society teaches you to act and to react to things from an identity and sexuality point of view don't make sense. They are not logical. They are just constructed socially, and it's not that there is something inherently wrong with things being constructed in a social way. Like we are social animals. We need some layers of this, but it's not
Not you
logical.
quoting Aristotle's.
I'm not quoting Aristotle's. Um,
Yes, yes. They said that the man is a social animal. That's from him.
okay, but we are social animals. I mean,
Sorry.
you cannot deny that much. We need socialization. If you don't
Yeah, yeah,
socialize with
yeah,
anyone,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
gonna go
I was just cheating.
insane. It's a
I was
basic need. Socialization is a basic need of every human.
I
Yes,
was
you were.
cheating.
I get it. I
I
get it.
was I was cheating. Okay.
So yeah, so I guess that both my trouble understanding social norms as a whole and me having to think about it very very logically because it's the only way I can potentially understand something made me eventually realize that a lot of these things don't make sense in the first place. Why should I try to apply them to myself? And I had a lot of reveals from that moment on, and I'm still having a bunch of them. I guess that only this year I realized that I am in the A spectrum because I was confusing sensual and sexual attraction like hardcore. By the way, for those that don't know, sexual attraction, I don't think I need to explain that one. Sensual attraction is just attraction towards hugging or kissing or just kind of physical contact, which I feel a lot. I have a kind of a huge need, I suppose, of feeling contact with other people, but not in a sexual way. And I was just mixing everything up, everything because I feel a romantic attraction a lot, and society tells you that if you
Because
feel
of me.
romantic attraction towards one person, you also feel sexual attraction, so they are one and the same, and they are not. And that made my mind very confused. So it took me a long time to realize
Just because
those.
of me.
Yeah, I mean,
Just kidding. Just kidding.
it was
Continue.
partially because you being asexual made me question my own sexuality to a degree.
Ah,
Yeah.
this is new to me. Now I'm interesting. Now I turn on my brain. I was just zoning out the entire time. Just kidding. Slash good joke.
But yes, also being polyamorous
I'm
is
addicted.
quite recent. It's been like what, 2 years? Because I entered a relationship being monogamic and then I opened that relationship. And so yeah,
Just
it's been
open.
around 2 years.
Like a
So it's
dam.
yeah, it's all pretty recent. I guess I was identifying as not pansexual but bisexual, which is very similar. Um, before that already, like since I was like what 2019 maybe 20. I guess I was 20 already. I just remember saying how I was like super normal because I was like, you know, I am white, I am cis, I am straight, all those things, and then comes
Yeah.
a
All
few
lies.
years,
Just
fast forward
lies.
2 years, and I'm like, nope, I am pansexual. Nope, I am not cisgender. Whoops, I am autistic and I have ADHD and also alexithymia and hyperlexia and a lot of other neurodivergencies. Help me. I guess I'm still white. There's something normative about that. But I was always made fun my entire life because my hair being extremely curly apparently reminds people of something that is not very normative and is associated with black people, and therefore I still suffer because of it, of a lot of
Oh,
bullying.
the air thing. I was also. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was also made a fun of.
yeah,
Because just because
it's
I have
interesting.
Mediterranean hair, just fucking
Yeah, it's like
annoying.
we as white people can suffer from racism against black people indirectly because when you attack a group of people, you also attack other people that are not in that group, and it's messed up.
If they have the traits, yes, because but your hair is beautiful, by the way. It's very beautiful.
Thank you. You are also very beautiful, but that's beyond the point. I love
I'm
my hair now. I
sorry.
really
I
like
was
my
just.
hair. Just
Oh,
as
that's nice.
growing up, I didn't, and I remember spending 20 minutes in the bathroom crying because I was trying to straighten it and nothing was working. And I just had a meltdown in the bathroom of a school because of that. I remember that perfectly. So it doesn't
Oh my
erase my
goodness.
experience, but I really love my hair right now. I'm very comfortable with it, and it's not a thing that I would change. I would not try to straighten it. I really like my hair.
Me same.
Anyway, now it's your turn because I already said all that I had on my little notes, and now it's your time.
Oh, I don't have any notes. Just kidding. Actually, I have some citations from the stuff that I was piling up today. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. The end of podcast, guy. Bye, guys.
Oh, it was just Toad talking, guys. Today was a Toad episode. I guess I should change the title to "It's just Toad." Hashtag just Toad.
Okay. So, um, okay. So I took note of something you said instead of me trying to remember. This is beautiful, I
Nice.
guess.
Still
I'm being
learning. I am not
still learning
learning.
because I'm I'm just a messy peep. So I'm going to scroll it all during my intervention. I hope you like it. Why am I speaking so weird right now?
Because you're
Um,
masking.
Probably. Oh, I'm asking, and actually I have masking written down. So basically, you said like, so basically you said that because of masking, you have some compulsory heterosexuality going on. You have some compulsory cis cis normativity going on. I don't know the term for this shit. And basically you're repressing all that. You were bullying up because, I guess alexithymia. That was pretty much your intervention. Thank you very much. I am a very good to sum up things.
Too long
They
didn't
do
read.
rants and I just take too long in a way. Okay, so I'm saying this because I kind of relate to that, but in a different way, I would say. I also have some internalized biases because of also masking and being socialized as as a person, I guess, because that's what we do.
Socialize as a
We are social
person.
animals, as Aristotle and Todd would say. Um, okay. So Um, okay, I should recount my history as well. So basically, since I have the confusion that being also platonic and also romantic, I'm not really sure when I have first crushes because they might be just platonic or they might be really romantic. Especially given the fact that we are children and we cannot process those sort of complex emotions because we have to be realistic. Romantic feelings are very complex. So probably I'm going to start by my adolescence, I guess. I think so. It wasn't that long ago, to be honest. It was like probably 3 years ago. So so basically, since I happen to be attracted to people with some femininity, um, femininity to it, I had crushes in AFABs mostly. So yes, the first crush was, well, it's kind of hard. The first crush that I had was actually a made up one. I made up that crush twice. Like I was trying to convince the people that yes, I am straight. As you can see, it's very convincing. Um, I could not be I was not convincing. Like my autism, I was not convincing. Like because I even have an homophobic incident when I was in eighth grade when a girl just it was my bully at the time, um, and that she said like, "Oh, you probably are a lesbian because you are staring at it at another girl's boobs." And I was barely making any eye contact because I'm autistic, and also because if I made eye contact, something really really bad could happen. So I don't know where she came with that. Probably was just through being um a very gay rights ally of her. She said that she was an ally of gay rights. It was so funny. But then she said me that. It was funny. Um, and then there was another girl that asked me out of nowhere if I was bi. Probably she had some hopes with me. Probably I don't know. I still think that probably she was being a bully to me, but probably she had a crush on me, which I'm very flattered. And because I'm very beautiful, I understand it's very difficult to not fall in love with me.
I
It's very
agree.
difficult. I understand. um, so yeah, so basically it was that. I was pretty queer growing up, but I was like being denial about it because of asking, I guess, because I was going through some heavy compulsory intersexuality, but I was like, I was struggling inside. I had a very strong crush, very intense one crush on AFAB. That was she also probably was autistic. She was very likely autistic. She probably was ADHD. She was very beautiful and very intelligent, and it was were very hard 2 years because I was not really sure. Because at the first time I thought it was pathological because I felt I was being obsessive over her. This was like there was some weird incel shit going on inside of me. Like I thought, like my goodness, probably I'm just being obsessive over like a guy. My goodness, Jesus, I shouldn't be like that. And was also when it comes to gender issues, they're interlinked. To be honest, actually, I thought I was a trans guy for some period of time, but I didn't have that much gender dysphoria, so it was like it's fine, I guess. So, and then it was a very hard time to actually process, and then realizing that I was very gay for that girl, and just realizing that she had a boyfriend, and I could not make any, and I could just,
Aww.
she probably was bi. She probably is bi, to be honest. She's not
Mm.
very straight passing. She's not very,
There's still
but in
hope.
any way,
There's still hope.
but anyway, no, I cannot. Like really, she's still in that oppressive monogamy. Probably,
You be the bad influence
probably.
this time.
I'm going to be the bad influence. Like, yo, join the polygon. We are cool. Not
We
like
are cool as shit though.
the
Don't
monos.
even.
They are not cool. We are cool as shit. So basically, and yes, basically, yes. And I spent my early 20s just trying to make out with other girls and just trying to be sexual. But I just, I could, I couldn't be sexually attracted to a person. Like I couldn't feel sexual attraction to other people. I thought like what I thought because I couldn't feel sexual attraction because I was not straight, and also I was having crushes on the girls, but I was supposed to have crushes on other boys. So again, when I'm gay, I probably should have sexual attraction to other girls. No, but I don't have. Like I thought I have, but I don't. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? So basically, I was very confused, and I also confused sexual orientation with sexual attraction, which is very different. And I have a lot of
Mhm.
sexual attraction.
Sorry, it just wrote, my
That
goodness, and I have to agree. My god, you were there having a mental breakdown.
it was on purpose. Actually, this was scripted.
Oh, scripted mental breakdown. Guys, you heard it here first. Rambo did it.
Like,
Go on, my
yes,
people.
this was me enacting my mental breakdown. Like, I was supposed to be gay, but I don't have sexual attraction to no one. What am I? I'm bisexual. Probably I am because I found the male bodies very interesting, but it was in a very safe form. So what even am I? Probably I am. What says this shit? Asexual. That kind of fits, you know. That kind of this fits. This fits. Yes, this fits. This shit is good. Yes, I'm going run with it. I was since 2019, since I was 19, questioning if I was asexual, and I'm going with it. I'm proudly say when I was 21 that I am asexual, and I came out as gay when I was 20. I think I was 20. I think
Wait,
so.
you're
It was
22,
very close.
right?
Yeah.
Man, I thought you had it figured out before I did.
No, it was
You're just younger, I
I was
suppose.
1925. I was 90 to 20 because it was lockdown. I remember.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was very light. I was a late bloomer because I was questioning for a long time, um, my sexuality. But I was very like confused. I guess alexithymia also plays a role in that because I was not really sure if it was platonic feelings or romantic feelings, which is also a very confusing thing to work
Mm-hmm.
on. And I still don't know what sexual attraction is.
I need to
I
to
still
to
I have no
to
idea.
to write a
I,
grid with that with my orientation. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go on.
eh,
Don't mind
oh,
me. Go
okay,
on. Sorry.
okay. Okay. So you are writing down my mental breakdown. Nice. So, basically, So basically, when I came out as asexual, that was a very more interesting. Like when I came out as a gay, was a more of an epiphany moment. Like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. Asexual was a more of a relief moment. It was more soft. It was more slow burn. I think that's the best word. Um, so it's kind of like, this is nice, this is warm, this is explaining something, this is actually freeing, this is beautiful, I guess, because this because basically I made up with a name of basically how am I going to explain this, like like I enjoy sex, but it isn't a very sexual way, probably because I don't have any sexual attraction. But I just made up with name up, and I'm supposed to be gay. What even is this shit? I don't know any shit. I'm a very confused peep. As well as my gender. My gender is very confusing as well. That's why it was so hard to actually come out as non-binary. Actually, I hated the word non-binary when I was 18, 17. I was 17. Like, I was shitting on it. Like, I was on that cesspit with Ben Shapiro and some shit fuckers that I just don't remember. It's better to repress them from my memory, because I was like, a non-hierarchy watching Ben Shapiro, and owning those college students. Like of course he has a very of course you I'm not going to talk about Ben Shapiro, for Christ's sake. um I know. But I was on that cesspit, and I was like, this is not for me. you know I'm very my assigned gender at birth that shall remain nameless. um but I was never performing my gender role correctly. Like, this is probably part of me being autistic. I was also very rebellious. I was also very tomboyish,
Most.
and um and oh, and where was I? Okay. And I always thought that was just a different type of gal, I think. Like a very different spice of gal. That's what I thought at the time. It was like kind of similar to Todd, to be honest. Um, and basically, my friendships were mixed, but to be honest. Like, I was friend with boys, but I was friend with girls. Like, but I would prefer to be friends with boys. I actually have a mate that was a boy, and I thought he's gay. My goodness, they were so gay. He was so gay. Like, the epitome of gayness. Like, he was that. And they were just having a crush on a girl. And I was kind of like, no, no. I was internally screaming like, no, you're gay. Stop it. It's embarrassing. And I should
My
said,
God.
and he should have said the same thing to me, because I was also very not very straight, very very gayish. I would say I was very obviously like, Jesus. I was into poetry. There's nothing straight about it. There's nothing straight about getting into poetry, getting to um you know I was like reading like Rimbaud and Verlaine, and no, I didn't read Dickinson. I know read Dickinson. She she has some nice poems, to be honest. No, I should have read some poems sometime here. I should have a segment to read poems.
Humble,
It's fading.
since you are going on a tangent, let me interrupt you just to say Zig said, don't be ashamed that you fell for those scams. They were designed for you to believe them, and they fucking worked. And yeah, so true.
This
Preach.
has a lot to do with how we are socialized. We are
Hmm.
socialized into these boxes that are the compulsory sexuality, the cisnormativity. That's what I was the same. That's why I came out. That's why I was so repellent of the label, because I thought it was something that was made up, which gender is made up. That's the thing. It's a social construct. Like male, female, non-binary, shit, and piss. Those are social constructed, and that's the thing that I clicked. You know, I can make this thing up, and you know, I think that was the click. I think why, like, I was autistic. I was already so defiant of gender roles. Why I still maintain this cis identity? There's no much sense. Um, but by the time I was trying to get into a gender exploring thing, it was very slow, to be honest. I don't know how it was yours. But for me, it was very slow. To be honest, it was like me trying, like,
Mm-hmm.
this pronoun they seems fun. I should try in this group chat, and they were very accepting.
Okay. I was not as I was slow like you. It was very progressive, but I wasn't as experimental because a lot of things for myself happen internally before I externalize them. Like I think I sound very how do I say this? I sound very even extroverted, and I sound like I talk the first thing that comes to my mind a lot of times. I feel like people might perceive me that way, but I actually tend to think a lot until I have something figured out, and once I am basically above 75% sure that what I'm saying is going to be correct, then I say it. And that's why I always talk like I always know everything, probably, because I tend to actually only say stuff when you're breathing to the mic, humble. I tend to only say stuff when I actually know stuff. So when I came out as non binary, it had been like a long time of me questioning it. The first time I started asking people to refer to me with they them pronouns, I had already came out to people close to me, and I was like, I don't want to make any changes yet. I am still figuring things out, and I only told that to a very minor nucleus of people that knew me, and even after I spent months thinking about it, and once I was sure, then yes, I experimented uh, a little bit further. I need a lot of internal questioning before I can actually externalize those things and experiment, I think.
Yeah, because you are less impulsive. I am more impulsive. So, and I start to experiment, and also because I have some kind of artist persona, which means that I should always try new things. So, of course, I had to experiment. Like, okay, let's just jump right into it. Let's say it's this thing stays, and it stayed. And
So
of course, I was going with she/they pronouns because I thought I was a navy girl. That was inaccurate, but yeah, that's another story. You want to say something?
I I actually have a I had a question and then I got distracted. Oh my god, if this isn't the ADHD experience. Ah, I know. When you realize something for the first time, about yourself, do you experiment with it right away? Do you try to outwardly perceive if that's right to you? Or do you need some kind of rationalization before that, or time to collect your thoughts still? Do you do it right away or not? It's basically my question.
Hmm. Like for example, like if I figure out that I'm asexual, what I do? Basically, is that the question?
Yeah, it's like, or I guess it's more with that one is harder to test in a way. I think I'm more like, when when you first found out that you or thought about being non-binary, did you immediately started experimenting with they them pronouns and see if they felt right to you?
Uh, Listen, when I started with the they pronouns, I was not even rationalizing that I was non-binary. I was just doing for fun, because I found it
Oh.
fun. It was like, oh, this thing, I'm okay with being treated with they. So I was not even rationalizing that I was non-binary. It was like,
Oh.
um, okay, this was December. August, I think. I don't know. The months. 9 months after that the thing hit me
Then you had a
that I
kid.
was.
Sorry.
It's a nice metaphor. That could actually be a reborn of myself. But no, it wasn't a reborn. To be honest, it didn't feel like a reborn. It felt more like a realization, I guess. Like thing hit me. Like okay, this yeah, no, I know. But I was already experimenting. I was already going with they pronouns. I was starting to talk more about my trans issues. Like, no, I don't like my tits that much. I probably would cut them off, but the national healthcare system doesn't want it, and basically it was that. But I was like, I remember at the time I was still going with she pronouns, especially when it comes to dating. Like I would still come out as a, what is the gender, the cisgender, okay, the cisgender woman. This is embarrassing to say. Like, and actually one of my crushes was actually ambiphobic. So another time, this was on June, she had posted very kind of like shitting on neutral language. And at
Mm.
the time, I had such a weird visceral reaction to it that, of course, I rationalizing that I was non-binary, but I was kind of like, why would you say that? It's disgusting when you just say that. And I still have that crush, so it was kind of like, oh my goodness, this was hurting actually.
Yeah, that
Like,
reminded me of something that has kind of to do with that, but not really. About myself.
so I was.
Go finish
Mm.
your point and tell me when I go on. Sorry.
So yeah, I was not. So I was not. I wasn't consciously realizing that probably I was gender non-conforming, but at the same time I was not saying that I was non-binary. Probably I was just. It was very confusing, but I was already experimenting. And then in August, I literally just said to myself, "This is ridiculous. I should come out as non-binary." So I did, and I did to my to a trans gal at the time that now she's my partner. Um, because basically we are talking about she said like, oh, I like girly things, and I was kind of like, no, I don't like that shit. Like shit should be burned, incinerated in my sight. And she was like, but I like them so much.
Oh, my
I
relationship
like
with
this so
dolls
much.
growing up.
She felt like an adolescent girl, to be honest. Sometimes I was kind of like an edgy boy, like this that shit sucks. I should burn that shit.
Oh yes, I
And
was so much like that. My god, I was a kid listening to metal in a corner and dressing in all black and like leave me alone or I'll stab you. And I was top class,
you
so it was
were
such a strange dissonance. So
I
I was
don't
like
know why
perceived
I
as
found that
being
that was this. Why did you find this was actually cute? Like you might listen to metal, it's still cute. I don't know because I was the same. I was the same. I was into like I was like I had this weird realization that I listened to kinky music. Like Nine Inch Nails is literally kink music, and I was
I
listening to
know.
that nonstop, nonstop since I was 17. And actually, I wrote some BDSM shit. Like
Damn. I know, I was just listening to anti-capitalistic shit when I was like 12, like hardcore rioting stuff and not realizing what was there and still being
you still
incredibly
remember that?
conservative. Yes. It's incredibly
Yeah,
anti-capitalistic.
same. Yeah, same. I was listening to Rage Against the Machine, and I was.
Yeah.
You listen to
And
Rage Against the
even
Machine?
Goldfinger has some very anti-capitalistic shit going on there. They're not metal, but uh,
I don't know
it's
them. Listen, I
it's
listen to Sex Pistols, and they are very like
yes, yes.
anarchy. Like,
Yeah, I was
yeah,
listening to all that thing
yeah,
and
and
not
I was
even
kind of like,
realizing it.
yeah, I was listening to that thing. I was kind of like, this is cool. Not, but I'm still very liberal. Liberal
Hmm.
in the sense like there's I know this is an American audience and they can get confused with the term. When I mean liberal, I mean very in the sense of the original definition. I think if I'm not
Are you
getting off
talking about the original? I'm just asking if you mean more
like
libertarian, more
the laissez-faire.
progressive.
No. I'm saying liberal as in the sense of in their ideology, like laissez-faire policies in terms of economics and that type of stuff. I was very into much that. I was like free market, and also liberals tend to have, capitalism is not friendly of gay stuff, of gay rights and sort of thing of our inclusion. Um, so yeah, it was very linked. Basically, that I identified at the time as a liberal. So yeah,
Hmm.
I was a capitalist
Hmm.
basically, to be more
Hmm.
simplistic.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, where was I? I think I got lost train, and also I found out I was polyamorous because of this dipshit. You converted me.
I did not do anything. I just called attention to the facts because you cannot potentially
No,
have like
no,
three crushes at the
no,
same time and
no,
be interested in everyone at the same
no,
time and tell me that you are monogamic. You
no.
cannot potentially do that. Don't try to know me.
It was two. It was two. It was two, not three. Two.
Oh, okay. I was exaggerating here, but still, you had two very established crushes at the time, and I was just like, keep telling me that you're monogamic and see if I believe that.
To be honest, it's
Spoiler
very
alert,
interesting.
they were
It
not
was very interesting
monogamic.
that the first thing that I thought was gonna. I'm so glad that at least this peep at least has is poly, even though they have two partners at the time. It was there was some hope. So it was fun. Like I was already like planning the whole thing.
I'm being so exposed here.
You
Uh,
no, I am the one exposing myself. Like listen,
you are
just focus
exposing
my.
both of us.
This is now. Yeah, I'm
I have
sorry.
no, 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 no. That's fine. I have questions. Do you think that your hard time distinguishing between platonic and romantic feelings can be because one, you might be on the A spectrum for one of these, more leading to romantic attraction, or two, because you might be alexithemic and therefore you might have trouble distinguishing between these two.
Goodness, that's a good question.
I broke them. Guys, I broke Rambo. Listen, my goal
Uh,
for this episode was to make you blush, but I already did that, so I might as well set a new goal and did that one just being breaking you. I broke your brain.
um, no, I like people breaking my brain. It makes me think.
Always here for you.
Um, uh, okay, I stopped blushing. Okay, so
Sorry.
okay, no, it gave me time to think, which it make that much difference because I still don't know the answer. Um,
Nice.
okay, it has to do with me probably be alexithemic. That's probably the primary reason.
Hmm.
Um, that's the primary reason actually, because I distinguish, but it takes a long time to distinguish them.
Hmm.
It's slow. So I know it's like platonic is basically mild version of romantic. That's why I can be very intimate with the person.
That just makes no sense to me
Um,
because I can feel sorry, romantic attraction. I can like feel only a little bit romantically attracted to someone, but I can tell that it's still romantic. So that is for me mild romantic attraction. And it's definitely
no,
not platonic. It does not feel platonic. My brain just
but
cannot
no, but
process
it
that.
doesn't. No, but I cannot label as romantic. Like it doesn't make sense to me.
No, it's
I don't know
absolutely
what.
fair. Humble, I'm not
I don't.
saying that you are feeling things in a different way than what you are. I'm not questioning what you feel. I am saying that I have such a hard time understanding. That's all I mean. It's like a completely alien concept to me. It's like, it's even harder than that because I literally read media with concepts that were supposed to be alien in terms of romantic interactions, and that was easy for me to understand. And in comparison to that, platonic attraction is a complete, actual alien experience to me. It's amazing. I'm rationalizing this right now. Sorry. Hello? I think I broke Humble for good. Did someone say alien slams intro? Yes, I was indeed referring to the Homestuck shenanigans. Um, Also, Sig, let me know one thing. Do you hear me? I stopped listening to Humble. Maybe they. I think that their internet kind of crashed. Let me text them real quick and see if that was the case. Cause yeah, I'm not listening to them. You can hear me, but you can't hear Humble. Yeah, they asking what? Yes, okay. Yeah. Well, we can't hear you, Humble. Did something in your setup disconnect for some reason? Can you hear me, Humble? Okay, don't stress. Just try to connect your stuff. We'll wait for you a little bit. This is when you make the poet slowly vanish but leave the toad. Exactly. Now, I should have one of those. That's my fault. I was the one programming OBS. I should have one of those, a scene in which it just zooms in on me or just on Hambo according to whatever thing is happening. I should probably do that. I was very invested in what Hambo was saying because I generally. Oh, are they back? Oh
The
my
fuck just
god.
happened?
Sheesh. You have a lot of noise now, though.
It's fine. It was the mic that don't know why it disconnected for no
Uh-huh.
reason, for
Yeah,
no
yeah, yeah.
absolutely reason.
That's okay.
So no, okay. But you were engaged. What the fuck I was saying? I don't remember.
We were talking about me having a trouble understanding platonic feelings. That was it.
That's basically your in the daily basis. I'm just kidding. Okay, I was saying that I think that the definition that I have is probably very Western. I think I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take me as this is as gospel because I'm literally just speaking when my mind says me to speak. Um, so I think that always I thought that platonic was basically what you feel when you're friends with someone. And actually, I feel attraction to friends. Like I want to call them and protect them and that kind of thing, and also
I
give
mean,
them kisses and be
yes.
affectionate.
Jesus.
But
It's
then
not like I don't care for my
but I just
friends.
feel the pull.
Jesus.
Like there, no, there are friends. No, there are friends that I cannot be touching. Like I remember I had one person in my life that I couldn't be physically touching with that person that much
Really?
because I didn't have that much trust. I think so. I didn't have that much platonic attraction. Also because they were, I don't know, we didn't connect basically. So I could say that they are friends, but they I didn't have a platonic attraction on that person. So yeah,
Huh.
that can happen. That can happen actually.
Yeah, listen, because once again, I feel romantic attraction, but I also feel I messed up the name a little bit earlier. It's called tutelary attraction, which is feeling the need or the will to take care of someone. I do feel that a lot. It's more obvious, for example, with kids. I feel a lot of just instinct, I guess, to protect them and to care for them. I really like kids and I treat them, like I would treat any person that I care a lot about. And I can feel that towards other people, but I can't really say that it feels like friendship would feel according to what people at least describe it, because it's really a caretaking role. If I feel that towards an adult, I will still feel like I want to take care of them. It's not that it's not an equal position, but our roles are going to be different, or in the way that I want things to be. You see, that's why platonic is
Mm-hmm.
extremely complicated for me, because it feels like it's more similar to the romantic in the sense that they both are on the same level. There's no one that takes more care of the other. There's, in terms of hierarchy, they are
Mm-hmm.
equal, but at the same time
For me, they
it
aren't.
feels.
I mean. In terms of feelings, they aren't. But in terms of intimacy, they are.
Interesting. Because for me, romantic feel like when I feel strict romantic attraction towards someone, I put myself in the same kind of role and position as the other person. But when I feel tutelary attraction, I put myself in a different role in the sense that I am taking care of someone and the other person is being taken care of. And I feel like platonic would be if I could just, have these caring feelings without romantic intention and position myself in the same level as the other person, kinda. It's extremely complicated. By the way, I also feel the opposite of tutelary, which is wanting to be taken care of, but it's never an equal kind of deal. I can feel both for the same person, like I want to take care of you and I want you to take care of me, but they are kind of independent, these kinds of attraction, and it never really gets to platonic, if this makes sense.
It does make sense, I think, in some level, because I have one example in my life that I could say that I have tutorial attraction, which is my
Tutelary,
sis,
yes. Yeah.
my sister, which is I don't have platonic.
Lemon, welcome in. Sorry to
Hey
interrupt you.
yo, Limo.
Limão. Six said, I just want to protect them romantically. Yes, I feel that a lot.
I
I
don't
do.
know which one you're referring to. If you refer to each other, that's cute. That is absolutely cute. You know,
Yes,
I
shout outs to
support you.
Lemon.
Shout out
Uh,
to Limão.
Shout outs to Limão. Limão. Yes. I have another question for you.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Go
you can
ahead.
also ask me questions. That's the point.
Yeah, I thought of one.
Okay. When you say a different, you talked about how you felt like you were a. Oh, and there was something that I wanted to say and I forgot, but I'll get to it because I have it on my notes. Um, when you said that you felt at first like you were, a different type of gal, like I'm just, a different kind of woman or of girl or whatever, and not
Yeah,
it,
a spicy version.
yeah, I had kind of that same feeling for a while. It was like, oh, I'm just not like the other girls, but I'm still a girl. um First, I have actually two questions. One, what made you feel so different from the others, and in what way does that relate to neurodivergency? And second, what made you realize that it was more than just being a different kind of gal, and maybe this deal of being a girl is just not my thing at all?
Hmm. Okay. I should try to took note of the questions. Okay. So the first question is what. Okay, so I was a different spice of girl, and why? How neurodivergent has to do with that? Is that the first question? Isn't it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Um. Because I said in the beginning that we tend to be gender non-conforming. Well, and I said that because I was so defiant, and this has a lot to do with the fact that I cannot mask as well. So I'm defiant by nature. I'm defying uh, neurotypical rules. I'm also in the same way defying gender roles in a way that since I was a child, I didn't identify with a girl role, like not at all. And I watched a lot of media, and I was like, it was like media movies for directed to probably a more public with AFABs, I think it was. So, and most AFABs were supposed to relate to more girlish characters. I wasn't. But at the same time, it was a weird relationship with that because, yes, I was relating more to the guys. It was more like it has a lot to do with my how I mimic, which comes back to what I was saying last episode, which I tend to mimic characters, and most characters that I was mimicking were surprising male characters, and I still do that.
Yeah.
You know, I still mimic male characters, which is very interesting. Um, and I guess that so strict mimicry of male characters was becoming so alarming that a girl doesn't do that much. Like they make they may mimic one or two, but I was like going over the top. And
Mood.
I was also I was not tomboyish. I didn't play with the guys that much. Like, yes, I would play with certain things, but I would not play sports.
Oh,
I was very neutral, to be honest. No, I didn't play that much sports. I was very much like your typical role play kid that would create some
oh,
shenanigans, like with yeah.
I'm surprised.
So no, I was pretty much neutral. Like I was a very theater kid, and like yes, I like to play sports, but it was not my focus on the break. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
more like I I like a lot of role play. Basically, that's pretty much it. And I like to play more male or gender neutral characters. I think at the time what I perceive as gender
Oh
neutral.
yeah, again the same. Same.
Yeah. So and I was at the time like I was still envisioning myself as kind of a male character at the time. Like I was sad for the fact that I didn't have a masculine voice sometimes because it will be so useful to mimic certain masculine characters. Most of
Yeah.
the times it was villains. Like the first one that I was longing to mimic was actually Scar from The Lion King. Like I like his
I had
voice
the
a
feeling you
lot.
were gonna say that. How did I know you were gonna say that? I don't know how I knew you were gonna say that, but I was like Scar, and you were like,
Why?
I have no idea. I just had a gut feeling.
How? I
I
never mentioned it.
I know
Like,
I don't know. I had a gut feeling, and I was like, no, that's kind of dumb. And then you say it, and I'm like, apparently it wasn't dumb. Apparently it was exactly that. I don't know. I don't have an
what
answer
you
for
cut
you.
off a little bit.
S-
What what you just said? Sorry.
I said that I just it just popped in my mind, and I thought like, oh no, that's kind of stupid. I mean,
Mm.
probably not that. Why would it be that? And then you say it, and then I'm like, well, apparently it wasn't stupid. Apparently it was exactly that. I don't know how I did it. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I just had a gut feeling that it would be that for some reason. I don't know.
I think I have an answer. I think I have the answer. I think I have the answer. One is basically they are very gayish. They are very gay. Scar is extremely gay.
Yes.
Sorry. And also because I have this kind of nasal voice that Jeremy Irons also has, but of course in a very different pitch, of course. Also because I kind of sound British sometimes. So that's probably
You
why
don't,
that's
but sure, I'll grant it to you.
a little bit sometimes. I would say sometimes I talk a little bit. So that's probably why you made the connection. I think so.
Maybe.
Um,
I have no idea.
maybe. But yeah,
Genuinely,
but
I
that was
don't know.
probably but probably it was my first character that I wanted to play so bad. There are many, to be honest. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
remember them all. But they were mostly male characters, and especially villain ones, which all happen to be very queer. So it made sense.
Oh, I see. I see. I guess I
They
never
are
really
very.
related to the villains, but I also had a hard time
Yes, I
relating to
did.
any. I'm talking like personally, I had a hard time relating to any character because I couldn't relate to the girls because it just didn't feel right, and they were all very uninteresting in conventional media, let's face it. The closest I got to identify with a girl was Kiki's Delivery Service, which, you know, it's a Japanese movie, and it was the only Japanese movie I grew up with. And that was basically the one girl that I was like, I could be like that, you know, maybe. Uh, so,
Maybe.
um, but at the same time, the guys were too. How do I put this? They were too
British.
dumb. They were dumb. Like they would just jump to things and not consider anything.
They were the himbos,
They
basically.
were all himbos, and yes, it's like adventure and just strife. And I there was some level of consideration and of profoundness, deepness that was missing, and I was left with an existential crisis and a feeling of void and not belonging that I couldn't describe, and that accompanies me to this day. But at the same time, the villains felt wrong to me just because I always I used to be a pretty evil kid. Like, not gonna lie, I was a pretty evil kid at some point. and it felt wrong. I wasn't proud of myself, and I didn't really identify with any of that. I always rejected the role of a villain because I didn't want to be one. Even in the moments that I realized that, yes, I am being the villain of the story, I didn't want to be that. So I also couldn't really identify per se with that because that's a role I was rejecting. So I
I was the
was,
opposite actually.
huh, in what sense?
Yeah, I was related to villains because I want to be like them. They were very intellectual. Some of them were very intellectual, and I was kind of like, I want to be that. I want to be intellectual. I want to be smart and clever.
That's the thing that
When at
scared
the
me the
time,
most. I
huh?
am smart. That's the thing that scared me the most. I am smart. I could be that, and I don't wanna. You know,
For you?
yes, for myself. I knew that I had all the potential. I had explored my potential. I did pretty evil things, and I hurt people and used my
Hmm.
intelligence to cover it up. And that made me realize that under the wrong circumstances, I could very easily turn into something like that. And that was extremely scary. But I never really
Yeah.
identified with
Okay, I
that
get you.
because I looked at that, and I got to a point in my life, like I was 12, 13, and I was like, this is extremely dumb, and what are you doing with your life? And I actually tried to be better. That's a talk to another episode, but I tried to be better, and I very slowly but surely got there, and I think I am proud of the person that I've become after all of that. But then I would look at the villains and just think how stupid they had to be to not grow out of that. Like, you're being childish. You're not getting out of the same place that you were, the same place that I left when I
Huh.
was a teen. So you see, but at the same time, the heroes also didn't resonate with me. Some anti-heroes kinda, and when that happened, they were always male, yes, but I always had a hard time relating to characters.
Oh yeah,
And
same.
when I do, I hyperfixate on things hard, and I have very deep connections with the characters that I eventually end up connecting to. The most recent ones were indeed male, and I feel like I'm discovering a lot of things about myself, and that leads to the thing that I took note of and didn't say, which is, you remember when you were talking about your reaction to someone saying that they them was, not a
Yeah.
thing and all of that, like you just felt like it was extremely wrong and couldn't tell why at the time. I had kind of the opposite
Same.
reaction to some queer experiences and experiences overall, because the way that I end up acquiring a lot of my social repertoire, let's call it that, is by watching series or reading books and deeply identifying with characters and assimilating these things. And I guess a lot of things that constructed my identity because of that, and because of being neurodivergent and hyperfixating on these media and just my need to find ways to mask, I end up realizing things about myself, like the fact that I perceived myself more as a male person, tending to male, even though I'm non binary, tending more to male than female, was exactly because of that, was because I immerse myself in this media, and then I have these very deep reactions to things that I watch, and I cannot tell why right away. But then when I process what's happening, I realize that it's because I'm identifying with them in some way. That happened, for example, uh, when I watched for the first time media with gay characters, a full-on relationship with two guys, and me being in shock value with my at the time homophobia, but at the same time identifying with what those people were living for different reasons, but because I was identifying with their experiences. As someone that identified as male, as someone that had a lot of fear for a bunch of other reasons in a relationship, and
Mm.
all this, I had such a curious reaction to the first time I watched material with gay people that I just wanted to watch it. Like I I hyperfixated on it a lot. I obsessed over it because it was telling something about myself that I didn't know. And I feel this only really happens because of me being autistic and the way I experience media and the way that relates to my identity. My god, I did such a huge tangent to get here.
Okay, but basically, so if I got it right, so with you, you get those realizations through exposure, mere
Mm-hmm.
exposure,
Hmm.
not exclusive, not mimicking, and you don't mimic those characters. Am
I
I
do though.
correct?
I mimic
You
them.
do.
I mimic, but it's more like it depends on the character. I There are characters that I just assimilate that, and it's very a very internal process and very visceral to an extent. And with some others, I do externalize it, and I end up feeling more comfortable in this new skin, and I act like them for sometimes for a while. Sometimes it becomes a more definitive thing. Depends on the circumstance, but both happen. Both.
Okay, okay. Like recently, do you have the experience of externalizing? Have you started to
Yes,
incorporate those? Which character, by the way?
I don't want to say, but it's very recent.
It's
It's a male character.
it was
You don't
it
know the
was
character though, but
it
yeah.
was from a gay fan fiction, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't from a gay fan fiction. I mean, there are gay fan fiction about him, and he's pretty gay, but but it's no.
I'm just, okay. You cannot say
You,
that.
I don't wanna. I just don't wanna really.
It's okay. It's okay. So I was just finding interesting. You just start to externalize. So in the long run, did you actually externalize some character in the long run that you felt extremely connected, and then you still do it nowadays,
In the past.
or like like you like in the past you got connected with a character, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you still do it. You still externalize that character. That's what I'm asking. If that makes sense.
Definitely. I'm trying to think of examples. Uh, Definitely. I'm not being able to
Uh,
come up with the characters themselves, but I'm being able to remember when that happened, which is very interesting. But yes,
okay. So you cannot really precise which media did you watch this characters from?
anime.
Okay, that's pretty much an obvious question.
Yeah, I mean, the most
Answer.
recent ones
Sorry.
are not
Uh,
anime, but a lot of them were because I finally had that is actually a thing that is very interesting about my coming out as non-binary, which was I had always a hard time with the gender roles in a Western way, the way they were perceived. And being a guy was
oh,
always
that's interesting.
also very hard because the Western way of being a guy, the social accepted, is very loud, very aggressive, and very toxic in a lot of ways. Not saying
It's the
that all
Latino
Western
macho
guys are
man.
toxic, please, that's not what I'm
It's the
saying.
Latino macho man, basically.
Exactly.
Archetype.
Exactly. And it felt very wrong. Just I don't like it a
Oh,
lot.
that's
But when I
that's
watch
very interesting.
media from other places, it's not like I feel like I'm a guy from other place, which I don't. Please, I'm not saying that. But at the same time, it made me realize that there are other models of masculinity that are, in my perception, a lot more interesting sometimes, and that there is no single way of being a man, and of course of not being a woman. But even when I was
Okay.
put when well, let me just finish the sentence. When other people, when I was put in contact with other models of both femininity and masculinity, I was still identifying more with the models of masculinity, even if they were from another social context.
Hmm. So you tend to identify with, I suppose, a more Eastern. masculinity
I don't want to
general,
say that because that feels wrong because
but it feels wrong because there are
I did not
many.
feel I did not grow up in that context. I don't know how that feels like and I don't know what that would be like. So I don't want to be saying that. All I want to say is that
Okay,
my perception of that expression made more sense to me than the expression that I see from my
okay,
own
but
social context.
okay, but oh, goodness. Okay, but what masculine general you feel most connected? How you can describe it? Like you said that you reject the Latino, like the more brutish, hard
It's
brush.
calmer. It's not violent. Or rather it how do you describe this? It's incredibly hard. Oh, that's a hard. I'm alexithemic. Let me think for a bit.
It's okay. I'm now breaking code. Ha ha ha.
It's yes, you are because I feel like I'm walking on thin ice. But put it this way: when you think of the stereotype of the Western male, there is a lot of talking that is a bit unnecessary in the sense that it's hurtful and that is very authoritarian, I guess. And I think that masculinity can still be, uh, I don't want to say softer, but I guess more considerate.
Uh, I guess
Considerate
kind.
of others. Yeah, it's not necessarily kind, but maybe kind like in expression. You can still say please. Um, you can still say that you need help with things and still be incredibly masculine in the way you do that. And I feel like Western, the Western archetype of masculinity that does not allow for that. Yes,
Okay, you're.
the Western
I
men
think
feel threatening. Yes, Lennon, they do.
I
they,
think we're talking about communication styles, which it
yes,
could be
definitely.
you're assertive. You probably prefer a more assertive masculinity, and then when you're talking about the stereotype, a Western archetype of manhood, we're talking about people, men that use a more aggressive tone.
They are
To
more aggressive in
Yes,
expression.
they
And
have,
yeah, and
and I have.
ultimately, that's what I'm talking about. It's expression and not necessarily how that feels like, because once again, I don't know how that feels like. I was not born in that, or raised in that context, so I have no way of knowing.
Well, you probably have to deal with a lot of bubble up emotions. I'm speaking as someone that has to deal with one person like that, and it's not beautiful. And yeah, that's pretty much it, I think.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
also has to do with the fact that I was also rejecting that type of masculinity when I was. That's why I had a hard time to actually identify as a trans man, and I don't identify as a trans man because I could not relate to the only masculine figure that was close to because they were precisely aggressive, and I was very. At the time, I was very passive, but now I would define more myself as being assertive and a more, I guess, flexible. I don't know what the better word to say this. Uh,
Oh, don't ask me.
it's
It's your
considered
identity.
really. It's more considered like I don't know, like empathetic. Okay, I'm going wrong with that. I guess. Like
Yeah,
um
it's really that. It feels like the only kind of masculinity that we are in contact with, or for the most of it, or the only kind of masculinity that is acceptable here is very, very, very aggressive and toxic, and that feels very wrong.
yes, it can. Yes, it can be abusive and broke families dynamics and cause trauma for. Yeah,
Well, yes, it's
it's
non-communicative.
very it's damaging, that type of masculinity. They think that
Yeah.
that's what heteronormativity does. And actually, I have it on my notes that I read, um, is that the essence of heteronormativity is, in terms of gender, they police gender. They police every person that is defying, even if they are cisgender,
I mean, you say that, but
if they
it's not
are
like the
being
rest of the world is all super progressive because it isn't, let me tell you. It isn't, and
I'm
it's
spe-
very oppressive on that sense. It's like it's very it's just as equally oppressive from what I've seen from the people that talk about it. Like it's not my place to speak, but at the same time I just don't want to leave the impression that uh everyone else is doing it right and we're doing it wrong, because I just feel like sometimes it's a different kind of messed up.
no, that will be cultural relativism, I think.
I don't know enough, so I will just not say anything.
Cultural relativism, if I'm not wrong, and people can give me shit for it, is basically when we're trying to compare your set of values and morals from your culture, which tends to be which you perceive as superior in terms of morality, to another culture that you perceive as
Oh,
inferior
okay.
in
No,
terms
no,
of
no, 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 no,
morality.
no, 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 no. But I was I was actually calling the attention to the potentiality of the kind of opposite here, which is thinking that
Yeah, but
everyone else is doing it right when I mm, no.
I'm okay. I'm not following. What I was saying is that we cannot compare with other cultures. Is
Okay, not
that right?
okay, okay, not compare at all. Yes,
Because I
yes,
was
yes,
because
yes. I
if
agree.
you're doing that, you were doing cultural relativism. That's what I'm
Gotcha,
saying.
gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay, I
Okay,
understood now. I just felt like you were potentially doing that from the start, and that's what I was calling attention to.
no,
So
no,
that's
no,
funny.
no, no. When I said that the heteronormative policy is gender, I was well. This was Joe Butler that said they said in their preface to their gender troll book. I didn't read the whole thing. That's why I cited the preface. Uh, and they said this was very interesting actually. So I took note, and of course, probably they're speaking from. Of course, this is a very American perception of gender. I would say, like. Uh, so and even if you take and even in all the cultures there were no binary genders like before the colonization, which is also a very interesting thing. So tough subject, I guess. And we actually colonization, because this is the thing with comes with gender being a cultural thing, is like with colonization they used to do they imposed a, a normative um ideology. I don't know the better word. I'm this is too late. On natives from those colonies that were already very queer and very queer supportive and supportive of non-binary gender, and they said like no, they're two genders, so we had to use them. You're just being like inferior to us. We are more intelligent. Like we have this very Christian religion, which is better than yours, and I hope I'm not saying bullshit. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's why, because I talked with Indian gals and they said like, yeah, we were very we have before colonization we have gods and could have a non-binary identity, and with colonization, yeah, they start to impose those norms.
Yeah.
So, without on the way, that's what I said, and this is where I start to be my actual point before you stop me with the cultural relativism thing. What I'm saying
Whoops.
is that we well, in the realm of heteronormativity, they police gender because if someone actually, even if they're cisgender, if they actually don't comply with the gender norms, they are called out, they are discriminated. For example, gay people, there's a gay man that could be more feminine and still be a cisgender man, but they can actually be a target of discrimination. That is a product of our very heteronormative society, you know? So, and that's the thing, that makes sense, you know? When I don't know why I said this, like, I'm not, what is the point?
The point is
This
that
is
you
too
already
late, right?
lost the point.
I already said my argument, I already said my note. What I was going to do with that? No, I was trying to relate the society that we live in, the gender roles, and how they police, how sexual a very heterosexual centric society policies gender in the same way, because even in same sex Jesus, in gay relationships they always try to put the gender roles in an equation, even if they don't make that much sense. And that's actually was one of the notes that I wanted to say, so I'm glad that I said it. Yeah.
There, you
So
did it.
you did it. So, you know, and also another thing, gender is a very social thing, especially with being disabled. Is actually I wanted to say this. Oh my goodness, I'm getting to the point. Because I was basically getting through the definition of gender, which I talked in the beginning,
Mhm.
which being me disabled, in the same way that that's why a black woman and a white woman have different experiences, even though they share the same gender. Because this we're talking to about cis women, but from different ethnicities. They black women tend to be more sexualized because of their race and gender. White women are also sexualized, but black women are more sexualized. In the same way, comparing to someone like, for example, a disabled woman and an able-bodied woman, a disabled woman, um, they are there's also that this idea that they might that this society can be a little contradictory. Like women can be have to be chaste and pure. So when it comes to disabled woman, they tend um to think to oh my goodness, what is exaggerate? Like they have more exact. They think it's a more exaggerated version of that because we think that disabled women are asexualized. They are asexual in a sense that they cannot have uh, sexual attraction. And I don't know how to say this. Like they're
I'm getting lost, Humble, not gonna lie.
I'm also getting lost. Like I don't know if I'm getting clear. And I'm saying that even though they share the same gender, they experience gender differently because of
Oh, but
society. That's
everyone experiences gender differently because of different social factors. Once again, because we are
yes,
disabled,
I was
we
saying. That's what I was saying.
on the first level, we already experience it differently just because we have a different interaction with the world and the world interacts differently with us. And only that is enough to cause my and therefore yours and everyone else's gender perception incredibly different from everyone else's.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I said, but less complicated.
Too long didn't
Okay,
read, guys. I'm
so
here for that.
yeah, I was I was getting lost in my explanation, but and
You were
also
just
another
using too
thing
many
with being disabled
complicated
is like
terms, and I am tired, so I was starting to not being able to follow everything. And
yeah, it's understandable because they're the same probably. Rambo, shut up and get to the point.
listen, you don't need to
Um,
shut up. It's not what I'm saying. I guess I was just like, okay, we
okay,
are
okay, I will get more
entering a
personal right now.
full on sociology class right now, and not everyone has a PhD in related subjects here.
I'm not even a major in sociology. Like I'm just
You are
This is funny.
clearly a PhD in Twitter sociology, so shut up.
That is true. That is true, to be honest.
Yes, it is a joke, guys.
Actually, the joke is mine. They stole the joke.
And that makes it funnier because it has now two levels of irony. Fuck you.
Shut up. Okay, this is actually more personal. Me being disabled and autistic, I and being non-binary, they probably might think like people from outside, aren't you making up that thing? Aren't you just being crazy
Oh, there's
about?
such a thing of like condescending look on neurodivergent people or disabled people overall because it's like, oh, do you really know what you're saying? Are you really sure about that? As if we didn't have a brain of our own to perceive the world.
Yeah, they infantilize us.
Oh my
They
god,
infantilize
it's
us a lot.
insane. It's sick.
So when you add the gender factor, it becomes even worse
Hmm.
because they think that we are making up, and gender is a made up thing. So it's even more like, ah, you made up that stuff. I made up that stuff. That makes sense. So and that's a lot with invalidation. It was so hard to actually come out as a minority because I was also invalidating me so much at the time because I thought I was making up, like I was not trans enough because I just have a very rigid definition of trans, and
Oh
me
yeah.
being neurodivergent, I probably wanted to belong to the trans community. I wanted to some sense of community because I was very lonely, and that this happened at the same time that I was joining a queer group. So I was following the hype of being non-binary. That's what I was doing. That's why I said that I'm okay with being they. That's actually the first thought that I have at the time that it was invalidating me, and that's also come with this thing that probably I was too disabled. I was being too neurodivergent. I was putting stupid ideas in my head, but that's pretty much valid. That's very valid because my perception is
But
valid.
yeah, yeah, that's a thing. If even if you were just going with the flow and whatever and just figuring things out, whatever, if you get to a point that you look back and it's like, yeah, this feels right and it makes sense because of this and this and this and this I experienced, who are other people to tell you that those experiences do not exist? Just because it was a decision kind of that it was out of impulse. Okay, but that impulse stayed, and it did. It stayed with you for a reason. If it didn't make sense, you would have dropped it. It would have been, a phase. Not that having a phase is wrong, because it isn't. It's part of self-discovery. But if it stayed, people should, instead of going like, oh, people converted, you just think like, okay, maybe this person just really experienced it and it made sense and really, and it resonated with previous experiences in their life.
Yeah, it was a very unconscious thing, I think. I was also very young. I was 20. Like,
I was very young. I was 2 years younger than what I am now, guys. Ah.
oh my
You're
god,
making me
that
feel
just.
so old, and I'm like 26, and like people in their
You are
30s
so
are
old.
not old, but I am feeling old.
like, you are from 96. Do you want to know what existed in 96?
Pokemon existed. I'm happy.
Okay.
Pokemon is older
Okay.
than me.
Okay, better. I'm more impressed. Do you want to know what it didn't exist in 96?
I'm not sure I do, but go ahead.
Me.
Well, yes! Guys, that's it. I was completely owned by the poet, and we end the podcast here. That's it. This is the final
That's it.
episode. This was it. The poet owned the toad, and that's it. That's it, guys.
That's
We
fair.
did it.
We are being very capitalist. Like, I own the toad. Like, I own you. Jesus.
Bro, that's not what it means, and you fucking know it. Don't even, dude.
No, no. I'm going to take the little the little meaning of the word,
Oh
even
yes,
though I understood the method.
because you are autistic and literally all you can do is think literally. Clearly, that's what's happening because we are not able of
Yeah, that's what
joking or of
happened. I don't know.
sarcasm. Because I am not being sarcastic right now or anything.
Yeah,
Twitch, I'm being
yeah,
sarcastic. I am
yeah.
not offending anyone. Please
It's
don't
not
bring this
like we
channel
have
down.
another ironic name. I definitely don't look disabled.
My peep.
Guys, we
No,
just reached the what?
in all seriousness, do you have more questions to me? Do you think we should like finish
Okay,
in the meantime or what? Just
I'm
testing the
not finished,
waters.
but
Oh yeah,
there's
yeah.
nothing. Okay, because I was actually because we shift topics. I was kind of like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
okay. So I had this very burning question, and actually I asked to everybody basically. So this is a very clever question that I want to ask.
I'm scared.
This
Scared,
question
guys.
is
Protect
very
Toad. Protect Toad. Please
important.
start protecting Toad because Toad is very scared.
Okay, so my question is, um, okay, you are from the A spectrum,
Mm.
so um, but you still say that you feel sexual attraction.
Yes, I do.
Um, how do you, I guess, experience it? Like, because
I.
because you're from.
Sorry, finish your question.
Yeah, because I was just asking, because okay, you say that you might be in the A spectrum,
Mm.
but at the same time you might feel sexual attraction, and you even might
Mm-hmm.
know visually what it is. So that is my question: what it is visually? How do you feel it? How do you experience it? Yada yada. Go ahead.
Um. So when I said that I am in the spectrum, I don't mean once again that I am totally, let's say, asexual in the sense that I do experience some sexual attraction and I do experience sexual attraction in kind of specific circumstances. Um, it's very hard for me to determine when that happens because it's a thing that am still to figure out. I still haven't been able to totally understand when it's sexual or when it's sensual because for the longest time for me they were one and the same in the way I was perceiving them because that's what I was taught and took me a long time to understand that no, I do separate them. They are different to me. But at the same time, because I for so long was considering them or forcing myself to consider them the same, it's hard for me still to fully distinguish them. But this said, I experience sexual attraction towards specific people, and it's rare. I I very rarely experience sexual attraction. I very rarely want to actually engage in any kind of activity like that. Um, and most of the time, what ends up happening is that I do want to hug people a lot, or pet, or even kissing, but that's it. So, because this is like the one label that I'm still not entirely sure, because there are different labels inside the asexual spectrum. There is demisexual, there is gray sexual, and there are other labels to determine several ways in which you can experience this attraction, and I haven't figured out what the right one for me would be. I don't fully understand yet. I only know that it's very rare that I actually experience sexual attraction, and therefore the rule started making a lot more sense to me to consider myself in the spectrum because, yeah, it's rare.
I'm actually surprised because the thing that also made me realize that I'm asexual is the thought, the weird of being weirded out by the fact that people have, might be
Because
um,
probably you are a little bit
horny
touch
just for the
repulsed.
thought of me.
You're probably a little bit touch repulsed,
No,
aren't
no,
you?
no, I'm not just.
In a sexual way, I
I'm
mean.
I'm not touch repulsed. No, I'm not.
Oh,
I'm very craving for touch.
hmm.
Um,
I guess you were
no, it's
scared
just
of being
me.
objectified then, no? Maybe? I was also very scared of being
Yeah, that
objectified my
might
entire
be.
life, especially because people were all
Might be.
objectifying
There's
me as a woman, which I was not, and that made me extremely uncomfortable.
yeah, that might be. Yeah, that's a theory that I have in mind. It's like male gaze can actually be dysphoric.
Oh, it is very
It
dysphoric.
is.
It is incredibly
It is
dysphoric.
very dysphoric. Quote on me. Quote on me.
It's like when guys start
No,
to look
some.
at you in that way of like, totally make you, and I'm like, no, bro, get the fuck out of here. Can you just like treat me as a bro? Like, no,
No, they
no,
have.
none of that thing. Like, please do not perceive me as a woman. Me not a woman. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
No, that's a very interesting thing. Because as a asexual person, I don't have male gaze. I think that, of course, there might be asexuals that also can have a male gaze. I don't because male gaze is socialized. So, but in my case, I didn't have it, and
I
I
have
was
such a hard time
afraid that I might.
understanding male gaze. I don't fully understand what it means, I think.
Male gaze basically means I don't perceive you as a person. This very simplistically speaking, I don't perceive you as a person. I perceive you as my mere object of the desire. This term actually comes from movies. It was studied by media, from the
Hmm.
media that people watch. Like for example, James Bond has a very explicit male gaze. That's
Hmm. Hmm.
so this is where, if you get the context where this term comes from, you understand better. For example, James Bond, many movies actually from the 50s, 60s, 70s, they have such a very explicit male gaze. And female gaze is not the counterpart of that. It's not like woman objectifying man, because a woman can also have a male gaze. It is more like female gaze is you start to perceive the person as they have their own agency. They have their own identity, feelings. They are a person, basically. That's what female gaze means.
I kind
And
of dislike the terminology in itself
no, I'm not a fan because
because
female gaze means.
yeah, but I dislike, like, I understand where the male gaze comes from because I do feel like as a society, there is a very specific way that certain males look at women, and I've experienced it several times, and I do understand where it comes from, but the female gaze, being, I don't feel like it's a female thing, socially speaking, to perceive others as non-objects.
Actually comes if you're familiar with Nouvelle Vague, which is new wave in the French cinema. There's a movie called
I'm not familiar with movies, period.
calm down. I will give you the context. Cleo Sankazet, I've nailed the pronunciation, of course, which is very female gaze focused movie. It's literally the main character is literally a woman, and it's very centered on the woman's life for 90 minutes. It's like roughly 90 minutes. You're watching in real time the life of that woman. It's so centered in her own conscious stream of consciousness and emotionality and emotions, because that woman, she's called Florence, but it's very interesting how the Florence and Cleo, because she goes by two names, but I don't want to get into that. This is going to be a different up. I don't want to be different up. I'm going to get straight to the point.
Yes, please.
So she's waiting for a cancer diagnosis. She's suspecting that she might have, and she's very afraid of having. And she's constantly validated by by the outside people, by the other characters, like, "Oh, you're
Mm-hmm.
just too crazy. You're too hysterical." This is very
Ugh.
interesting because that movie actually puts that invalidation in the frame. We see the invalidation going on, and we see the reaction of that woman going on. It's very interesting, and that's why it's very female gaze. It validates the woman's struggles with invalidation at the time in terms of medical illnesses. So
I
that
just
was a
don't
very interesting movie that I
perceive
like.
that as a thing that socially
So that's why
happens
it's
in the way
female.
that
It comes
female.
from
Look, listen, I don't
wait,
feel.
wait, I didn't finish.
Sorry.
That movie was directed by a woman. The female gaze comes from the fact that probably a woman directed that movie.
But that's irrelevant
It's
to what I'm gonna say.
it's sorry, I was just giving more context. This because it's a media
I
studies term.
understand, but
Sorry, go on,
what
go
I'm
on.
trying to say is that I socially do not see that being a thing in the way that femininity expresses itself. I don't see women having that kind of look or expression when looking at other people either. Yes, sure, they do not. Hello, Lila. We do not. It's not the
Hello.
same as the male gaze, the typical male gaze, sure, but I also don't see how
No,
uh
I'm going to argue that it is.
I don't see it. I'm not going to argue with you that it is or it isn't. I'm saying I cannot see it. I do not see, maybe because I am very skeptical of the idea that women are very caring. I'm very skeptical of that.
Okay, because that falls into the gender role of we should be nurturing or caring, as in
That
fact.
too. That too. That too.
But when I say argue that probably they have male gaze, it's because male gaze is socialized. It also could be a product of patriarchy, which means that we are socialized to objectify people, you know?
Hmm.
Because if we go with the whole pop culture thing, which is a thing, um, women recently start to mimic men's behavior in terms of sexual practices and that sort of thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So they also mimic the men's behavior. One of them being the male gaze. So they start to
It goes
objectify
beyond
people.
that. It really goes beyond that. I'm not talking about behaviors imported from male expression. I am talking about the general expression of femininity as a whole, as a society. I don't perceive it as caring. That's my perception.
Hmm. So we have different perceptions then.
Yeah, I suppose we do, and that's okay.
No, I
I'm
have
not.
mixed. Here's the thing, I have mixed because I can see that general could be nurtured, but then again, I also know many women that can be very passive aggressive, very
I feel like most examples of that I
unempathetic.
have of women that are extremely feminine in the way they express themselves tend to be exactly very passive aggressive and pretty non-empathetic, and that's the thing. It feels like the more you get to the stereotype of what a woman is supposed to be, the more you run away from that idea of female gaze, although I understand that women are also supposed to be caring and respectful and submissive from a social point of view, but it still doesn't fall into what you were describing. So I guess that's why I, at least for now, disagree.
Okay, makes sense. It's kind of like no, it's not the case.
Listen, you
It's
might be
because
right. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that right now I cannot see why I would be wrong in this context, and therefore I cannot agree. That's what I mean.
I
Just that.
mean, so you can read the essay on female on male gaze that was written by Lauren
No, I
Mulvey.
cannot. That's ableist. I cannot read. I cannot focus to save my life.
It's a
I'm
very
half
short
joking.
essay. It's a short essay.
I
It's a
believe
short
you.
essay. But if you want to get a better understanding of that, I'm recommending that. Of course, you feel free to not read. I'm not judging you.
No, no, no,
But
no.
if you want to get better informed, that's it. Um, and she explains the male gaze, better than me, and also the
The
female
female
gaze
gaze.
thing.
Both of them, yes.
I think she explained. I don't know. Proceed
No, I don't think I have anything else to add on that subject. I think I
on
concluded
that particular
on
subject.
that, yes, on that particular subject.
We exhausted the topic. Move on.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you if you feel like your relationships in terms of gender with other people, or rather
Hmm.
the other people's gender and your relation with them, was connected to the way you express yourself as a neurodivergent person, and if yes, how?
Me being neurodivergent and me, I'm just trying to absorb the question.
It, it's more like
Okay, repeat the question.
your relationship with others according to their gender of the other people. How do you think
Hmm.
that your neurodivergency affected your relationship with other people's gender in terms of the way you build your relationships? My question is
Jesus,
being very
it's
confusing, isn't it?
no, I can understand, but then again, as neurodivergent, I don't know the neurotypical experience either. So it's kind of like it's a very abstract question. John, I think when it comes to neurodiversity, you think of, well, I always think of defining norms. So it was probably very easily for me to defy the norms that even in very queer spaces, but they are very neurotypical, are installed. Like, for example, they're probably more strict. Like, oh, you're gay, you're only attracted to women and um, women, period, for example. And no.
I guess I was
Uh,
questioning more like growing up in as well, like in terms of
oh,
friendships growing
sorry.
up as well. Like that
All
that is also
friendships.
a valid yeah, I guess yeah, in the people that you related to, like in the people that you got close to.
Hmm. Oh, okay, that's more easy to answer. I was so not giving two fucks about gender roles. Like I was very mixed with friendships. Like I was very neutral. Like I'll be friends with girls, I'll be friends with boys, and I just didn't like the whole thing of like, oh, sticking with the girls, I'll stick with the boys. I had to have both, you know, at the time. So it didn't make sense to me, and also because it probably comes from the fact of from being non-reversion. I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Also because this is kind of hard to answer because I spent years without friends,
Mood.
so it's kind of hard to answer. So in college, yes, I felt a little lonely only with girls, but the boys there were just so interesting. I actually have a friendship with a guy who was very nice, to be honest. But the other guy just left the course, and I was kind of like, the only guy that I was friends with, God, just hated. And because they were just they tend to be more soft in their expression. They were assertive, and the other guys were just so macho bros that I was kind of like, yuck.
Not gonna lie,
But
I
then
tended to be with that kind of guy because I felt comfortable like that because I could do the same and they would not judge me.
yes, if I was younger, I would be pretty okay. But then when it comes to adults, they were so childish sometimes. Yeah,
So was I.
and also with girls, they were so stereotypically feminine. That was also like, I don't relate to anyone. Why am I here?
Oh.
So yeah, that's pretty much. So I think
Just
it's a lot of
general neurodivergent confusion.
yeah. I was kind of like, just be people, please. Don't stick with gender roles.
That is absolutely fair. I had
Just be
a more
people.
confusing relationship with that really because growing up, um, because my expression was so off of of what was expected of me, like it's actually something I didn't say, but I remember spending entire days trying to quote unquote meditate on being a good girl. Like, just imagine 6, 7 year old me just getting frustrated at the fact that I couldn't behave in the way that I was expected to as a girl, and I wanted to. I wanted so desperately to be a girl. I wanted so desperately to just do the right thing and behave in a way that that was right. I wanted that so much, and I couldn't.
Huh,
So
that was the opposite.
I was always, yeah, I was always but that's the thing. I was raised to be almost perfect on everything, really. I guess that's the kind of education I had for a while. Um so yeah, I guess that pressure really got to me. It's not that like anyone told me that I had to be a good girl or a perfect girl, but I guess that all the rest of the pressure that I had on me got to me on that aspect as well. And I was really trying. I was trying so hard. I
Mm.
tried to play with the girls. I tried to talk to them. I tried to be like them. And it was so absolutely boring. And it disgusted me. Like, I couldn't establish a good relationship with girls, like with any girl, because of that. Because anytime I would try to, and I would try to behave like that, it would feel so wrong. I would always end up just trying to hang out with the guys, which most of them would not really let me because young kids going like, "Oh, you don't have the ball and you're a girl and you can't play soccer with us," and I'm like, "But I want to play. Like, what's the problem with me being a girl? Like, just let me play, bro." And they wouldn't let me, but sometimes they would. Um, so I guess that what I'm trying to say is
So
that
it was more gender affirming. Yeah.
yeah, I guess that my neurodivergency, or the way it expressed itself, made it so that I had a hard time behaving in ways I would expected of me, and that put me more to shock with what I was expecting and what I couldn't do. So I was always trying to fit in with what felt right for me to behave like, which was a more male approach to it, or what was perceived as a male approach. And growing up, this was always the norm. I was always the quote unquote girl that was with the guys, going like, "Man, girls are so hard to understand. I don't understand what their deal is. All they do is talking about guys and gossip on everything. And oh my god, I'm so tired of that. Guys, do you want to play a game?" I would be this person.
Not like other girls.
Yeah, I would literally be the stereotype of not like other girls, which by the way is extremely wrong, but it was the best way I could process all that. And I feel like that really ties up to the fact that
Yeah.
I was trying to belong to something, and as a neurodivergent person, uh not being able to fit with the social archetype that was being imposed on me. This was the best I could figure out.
Oh yeah, you're trying to belong to something, and that's basically masking, like trying to be a
Oh,
girl
I was masking so hard. I still
to
mask so
perform
hard.
your gender role.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I mean, gender
because
is a
it is
performance,
masking basically.
but
Well, gender is a performance.
gender is very
It is.
performative. Gender is very
It is.
performative.
If I didn't perform well. That's why I was confused as gay.
Same.
I was confused as
I mean, I performed well
ah.
for a guy.
I don't have any reputations for that. So it is your validation,
But
your gender affirming validation.
listen, all I'm saying is that if I was born in a male body, or what would perceived as a male body, I don't think I would have half the problems that I had, because probably I wouldn't even come out as non-binary, because I would just feel like another type of guy, and but not in a special kind of deal. Just it's a kind of slightly different way of being masculine, but masculine nonetheless. And that would probably feel still right. But
No, I would still come out as non-binary
maybe I
because I
would.
feel like some.
Maybe I would. Maybe I wouldn't. I don't have a precise way of, I can't attest for that. All I'm saying is that I feel like I would fit in way more easily because of my interests, because of the way I express myself, the way I talk, the way I present. My body language is extremely masculine in everything I do, in the way I sit, in the way I walk, in the way I just grab my things, in the way I dress and undress. It's extremely male-like.
I mean, it's
It, huh?
but it's interesting because I have the opposite because I am actually I have very strong feminine language, but I'm
Oh,
kind
but
of androgynous.
yeah, your presentation is so androgynous. Like you fooled my mom.
Yes, but it's a true story.
She
I
couldn't
confused
tell.
their mom.
She couldn't tell. She was like, I don't know
She,
if that person was a guy or a girl. But what was it really? And I just answered with, "You'll I won't tell you." So to this day,
it's just
I don't think my mom is entirely sure of your gender or whatever you were born in your pants, you know.
I hope that it stays that way because I'm also intersex.
I know it's absolutely hilarious. And listen, if
So
she asks me at some point, that's what I'm gonna say. I mean, they are intersex and they identify as non-binary. Deal with it.
yeah, but also because it doesn't help that I have a bun, and also because I have some facial hair, and also I look very boyish. So
Mhm.
it doesn't help to guess my assigned gender at birth.
I know it's only when you
But
speak sometime that you can tell that your voice is a little bit more high pitched. But
it's only when I speak.
apart from that, you are so absolutely
Yeah,
androgynous on everything. It's amazing.
yes,
A little
because
bit
but
envious here.
here's the thing. But sorry, because I have a small chest, and they have the issues with that. I'm not going to say
I mean,
explicitly.
it's not
Uh,
just that. I know if I dress up as people would expect me to as a woman, I am actually somewhat attractive and like I am very female presenting if I do that. And I don't like that.
I
I
mean,
really
can
don't
you
like
say?
that. Also,
I
my
have to
voice is
say
extremely
you're
high pitched. I'm a soprano.
no. I don't know my voice. Like my wife says that I have a low pitched voice, and I completely disagree with her. But anyways, I
Somewhat.
don't have a low pitched voice.
Somewhat.
Somewhat, yes, but not. But I'm not like I don't have a raspy like a smoker woman's voice. No,
No, no, no, no, no, no, no, no, no. You
no,
don't.
no, no. It's a little like it's a mix between a boyish, the 13 boyish, and a 20-year-old something woman. I guess that's probably the best could
Probably.
describe it.
I am so
Also,
biased at this point that I cannot tell you.
you're biased.
I am very biased. I mean, I cannot. Your voice to me just sounds like you at this point, and you are non-binary, so I associate your voice with an androgynous kind of expression. So I cannot tell you anymore at this point. I cannot be objective about it.
Yeah, you are biased. You are
I am
biased.
so biased. Now I'm pan.
You are so biased.
You are so biased. I am based. I'm bi-based.
You are pen based. Pen based. Yeah,
Pan
you're
based.
based.
Nice. I'm based. Exactly. My god, I'm getting so sleepy.
Oh, so yeah, but actually, I'm very. But I have a very feminine. I have some feminine expression to it. But at the same time, I'm also. That's why it's the spice of being androgynous. People just get confused all the time, which is amazing. I love to shock people.
Oh, I'm on it.
Yeah, that's why mate, peeps they feel envy of me, because
I
I
mean,
can be
yes. Every time anywhere I go, people are just like, "Miss," and I'm like, "No, fuck you."
no, they go mess with me, but they mess with me. They mess with me, really.
Whoa.
Mess with me. That's a nice pun I just did.
And
But
mess.
there are cases that they might be confused, especially if I wear a mask. They might be confused,
Hmm.
and that happened. And that I don't know why like I was not wearing a mask. I think. Oh, I was. I'm not. I was. Yeah, I was. That's why it was more complicated to guess the gender.
Yeah.
Uh, and also because I was very like
You
kind
were.
of juvenile and that sort of thing are very, very, very talkative and impulsive, they might be read as more like seems boyish, but I'm not really sure. So yeah,
I can't
that's why
tell.
that's the neurodivergent spice. That's
That's my
why it makes me
existence.
androgynous. Actually, it makes actually because if I'm more juvenile because I'm more impulsive and and joyful, I think they might perceive. I don't know. Tough subject. Anyways, I wanted to ask you a question before I got lost in a tangent. So, and this actually is the burning curiosity.
Hmm.
Why the hell how the hell I was influenced to your sexual exploration thing, like
I guess
to
because
your sexuality? I guess
I
to
guess
your
just I never met another asexual person like outward
really.
that was outwardly asexual like IRL. Like I met asexual people online, but never IRL.
Huh,
And especially not Portuguese. So
that is a good influence. That makes a make yeah.
so I guess
Go on.
just the fact that you said that you identified as asexual and me being able to ask you a bunch of questions um made me question it, and my first reaction was like, no, definitely I am not, because I do feel sexual attraction sometimes and I do enjoy it and all of that. So like of course I cannot be, but then again, um I guess that a lot of experiences that you were talking about in what concern to being potentially um perceived as romantic versus platonic attraction were also kind of making me confused. I was also like, okay, maybe there is some level of sexuality that I'm not taking in consideration. That's when I realized that sensual attraction was a thing, and that's when I was like trying to separate both of them. And in that moment, I started actually questioning, when did I feel sexual attraction, you know? But that's because you mentioned this, that's because you brought it to light. Um, okay, Zik, go to sleep. So
Yeah,
yeah,
please go to sleep. You need to work.
yeah,
Where did
please.
that conversation took from? I don't, I'm trying to locate myself.
In what sense?
Uh, I'm trying to look like I said use those things, but I don't remember like explicit. You say like, oh, my experience, like, oh, I'm asexual, and
Because I
I
don't
just don't.
exteriorize things. Rather, you told me that you were asexual, right? You remember that much.
So this was on April, like that's why
I think you said
you
it before
mentioned in
that.
conversation. Oh, probably I was not really sure, but I was always putting that on the table. That's when on April I got really sure that I was. But yeah, probably because I remember the conversation being a little earlier than that, so I'm trying to localize.
Yeah, but regardless, even if it was in April, you said that. Uh,
Yeah.
I,
So
I guess it still really made me question it, and I didn't say anything about it at the time because once again, I don't talk until I am sure about how I feel. Uh,
okay.
so and I still am not. The only reason why I said this is because we are in a podcast talking about these subjects, and I thought it was important to bring them to light, even if I'm not sure about them.
This
Um,
is for the couch.
yes. So, but otherwise, you would still not know about this because I didn't figure it out yet. I am still trying to understand what's going on. So I was still in my internal turmoil, whatever you say that. Uh,
Journey.
just, just internal confusion. Let's call it that. Just trying to understand what the hell is going on.
Yeah, it's valid. Because I remember saying that it was so weird for me to be so horny for the thought of a person. That was so weird. And I remember, like, what? Why? I even when I compliment the person, they were feeling horny. Like, why? Oh, you just get turned on like
I
that? What the fuck you are you?
Because I
Like,
do sometimes, it's just not common. And a
but
lot of times
why?
it comes from a more sensual point of view rather than sexual, really. It's just I like touch, and that's it. And sometimes it develops to something else, and sometimes it doesn't. Most of the times it really doesn't. That time it did. I think that's really it. I don't know what else to say.
I'm so confused.
That's it, guys. I confused the poet. Toad did its job.
I'm just so like, mm, but then okay, sexual attraction is lust over a person, right? Is that it's directed lust to a person, right?
Is sorry, sorry, I didn't understand.
You almost went Portuguese.
I almost went
Uh,
Portuguese. Yes.
Sexual attraction is, in a very simplistic terms, lust over a person. You have,
Well,
gosh, that's my way of
yes.
understanding.
Yes,
Yes,
you can call it that. I think that is accurate
that's
enough, at
my,
least.
yeah, because this is an exercise of trying to cognitively understand sexual attraction, which is very hard for me. Like, you just,
Yeah.
it's kind of like
Welcome
you look
to
to a body and
neurodivergent
you
experience,
get
just
turned on.
cognitively trying to understand things. Sorry, I interrupted you and didn't listen to you.
What is, what are even bodies? Why do we get turned on by bodies? Why you can't
Why
just
are
be
you
turned on by
asking me? Why
Why?
are you asking me the
Why? I
complicated
just don't
questions?
understand.
But I also am, but
Like,
that
I don't
when
understand.
I actually tend to be more turned on by the person rather than the body. So when
That's very
I
pansexual of you.
when I mean, listen, it's not that I because when I experience attraction more based on gender, it's more of an aesthetic kind of attraction. It's like I do have preference in what it looks like, and a lot of times
Oh, same.
that is linked to the gender expression. But um I don't really necessarily want to engage in any, or I don't feel sexual attraction towards people because of how they look most of the times at all. It's different. It's a different kind of connection. It usually comes from an emotional point of view and a kind
Hmm.
of need for caring, I suppose, and also just admiring the person. And it usually involves romantic feelings as well. If- I don't remember ever feeling sexual attraction without some kind of romantic interest as well.
Which will be more falling more into the demisexual label, if I'm correct.
I think so, but yes, demisexual does mean that you only feel sexual attraction when you are already interested in the person on an emotional level, in my case, romantic. But I'm not sure if gray isn't also accurate for me. That's why I haven't decided on a label. I couldn't figure it
Yeah,
out
yeah, yeah.
yet.
That's pretty much fine. That's fine. Well, mine is I'm pretty much asexual because I
Mm-hmm.
just don't know the concept. Oh, which reminds me of a question that you asked once, which was, well, if I this I don't know, this was a very interesting question. Like you just asked me that also broke me was, well, if I transition so if I did transition, would you still attracted over me? And I was kind of like, yeah, I guess, but it wasn't a very sexual way.
Hmm.
Because but you said that is a very pan way of seeing things or perceiving attraction.
I guess
Which
comes with your asexuality.
and then after that, I saw Twitter was basically said like bisexuality literally the opposite of asexuality. I was
Sorry,
like, yeah,
bisexuality is also.
bisexuality is the
Uh-huh.
opposite of asexuality.
I
I saw
guess they
Twitter
are
and
so opposite that they link at some point. It's like.
they are linked. They are linked. Like they are opposite, but they are linked. Like because I'm kind of I don't care about gender if I am having some intimacy with a person. Literally.
Mm-hmm.
This sexual attraction is just like
Yeah.
doesn't even come to mind, doesn't matter. I just just want to have fun. I just want to touch, which
Yeah,
is
that's
could be
central.
sexual attraction, which I do have a lot. It probably will be very planned thing in the sexual attraction, which I don't know what the level is, but probably will be very fun on that level. But on sexual attraction, I'm very ace.
You're very sorry.
I'm saying that on
I
sexual
just didn't.
attraction, probably I would.
I just didn't understand the last word. Sorry.
On a sexual attraction, I'll be very yes.
Ah,
But
yeah, very
on
yes.
sexual attraction, I'll be probably very pan on that, which is very
Hmm,
interesting.
Yes, I mean, romantic and sexual attractions don't have to have the same orientation at all.
Yeah, and I'm a big refutation of that. Like I can be romantic with a person, and but not be sexual with the person.
Exactly. Yes, yes, that is totally
But
valid.
also, I like sexual things, but in a very sexual way, like probably in the sensual
Listen, I
way,
know
because I don't feel that.
exactly what you mean because it is
Yes,
totally possible
not
for me to be
because you
in
are
a
also on a safe special.
sexual kind of situation and be in a completely asexual mood. And it's so absolutely hilarious. I totally understand what you're saying.
Yes,
It feels amazing. It's just not
yeah,
sexual for me at all. And that's fine, I think.
no. And also, go find this very weird. But then I just said, I don't know. And I went one day, I was like, I'll suck some dick in a very
Jesus.
platonic way
That was
in the
completely
bathroom.
explicit. Sorry, I
And
was
my
not
wife was
ready.
very, and my wife was like, she was blushing probably because we were. I was in the bathroom and she was outside. Probably she probably was blushing and having a small orgasm
I was not
because I
ready for
said
the
that.
amount of explicit of this. I needed a trigger warning.
Sorry, trigger warning for the
Explicit content, I suppose.
isn't that explicit? Sucks on it. Oh, sorry, I should said fellatio. Next time I'm going to say
Trigger
fellatio. It
warning.
is
Flesh.
the correct term.
I cannot believe
I
this.
was not very explicit about it. Like I will do some fellatio on you, girl. You look amazing.
Damn.
Why? I'm running so much. I'm
Yes. Listen,
like,
it's a quarter past midnight. I think we should finish soon.
yeah, we should finish. So me tired. Toad is tired. We are
Told is
tired.
very tired. I need
Please
to give a class
go
tomorrow
away.
morning. No, no, go away. We're gonna raid. So please don't go
What?
away.
Class tomorrow morning? What the fuck? I was not
Yes.
up on that schedule. Oh,
I've been
I
having
have
a
things to.
tutoring kind of session every uh I am messing up every Thursday morning. So yeah. But yeah,
Yeah,
do you want to do some final notes
yeah.
before I raid?
The final note is asexual is the best sexuality ever. Period. Mic drop.
Damn, that's just not right.
I only said the truth,
Peeps.
and I'm very drunk in sleep, to be honest.
Guys, this is gonna be our raid messages because I cannot think of anything else. And well, I guess final
Definitely
notes.
is not a mine.
Neurodivergency is very linked to the way we perceive the world, including our identities in terms of gender and sexuality. And I think that's how we're gonna end.
I think that we are gender non-conforming because we defy rules in terms of social norms, and those norms happen to be also related to gender. So that's why we are very gender non-conforming. I
Yes,
think.
yes,
I guess that's my perception. Yeah,
yeah.
I think
So
that's pretty much it.
yes, let's say bye. Bye bye, guys.
Let's say bye.
Let's rate. Let's rate.
Bye.